Obsidian Orbital, thanks for having us. This one goes out to all the commanders out there. It's called Victory. I hope y'all like it. 1, 2, 3, let's kick it.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I got to admit, I'm pretty excited about today. My guest today is someone that I have been following, and as I told him a second ago before we started, I think is the first YouTuber. Certainly, it's hard to say if you're the first YouTuber I remember or if it's Obsidian Ant, but it was one of either of you guys when I first started playing the game that I followed your content and started to learn from. And with that, let me welcome Vindicator Jones. How are you doing, man?
Oh, great. Thanks. Thanks for having me here today.
You're welcome. And so, if everybody can just give a quick confirmation that that voice is working, that you guys are hearing Vindicator. I see levels bouncing and stuff, so I think you are. Let me know if there's a volume difference between the two of us. I actually think for me, I'm going to turn you up on my side a bit, Vindicator. I think you were a little on the low side when we were chit chatting. So, okay,
Okay,
great, great guys. They're saying we're all good. So yeah. Before we get started, there's one thing that I wanted to comment on for those that have seen it. The video that I put out yesterday about the ban from the fuel rats, which I received. I just wanted to say very quickly, I don't want to make a big deal of it, and this is probably the only time I'll ever comment on it again. For those of you that commented and shared your thoughts, whichever way your thoughts were, I appreciate it. There were a lot of very insightful comments, kind of either supportive of me. It's hard to say supportive of me or the fuel rats because I don't look at it as anything like that. I think the main thing I wanted to clarify that I didn't put in the video, and I think in retrospect I should have, which was that in no way did I realize I was breaking any kind of rule. Right, while I have ratted in the past, it was over a year ago. It was the once I did it for a live stream, where I was promoting them and stuff. So in no way did I understand that I was doing anything that would upset anybody. And while I certainly have no problem with following the rules, and that absolutely by the letter of the law I broke the rules, I felt like the fact that it was necessary to quote unquote punish me versus just tell me, hey, dude, this wasn't cool. What the fuck? Don't do something like this again. Right? That's really where I had issue with the whole thing and felt like they, in my opinion, massively overreacted. So I just wanted to clarify that. But again, for those of you that shared your thoughts, no matter what they were, I appreciate it. It was actually even those that thought I was very much in the wrong. It was surprisingly not very toxic. I shouldn't say surprisingly because you guys are almost never. I've never had anything toxic on my channel. Well, they're rare assholes that I ban really quickly, but I've never really had anything like that. So I just wanted to address that and say thanks to everybody for your thoughts. If you haven't seen it, it's kind of, I think, a pretty funny story. What you missed if you didn't see it, it's a video I put out yesterday that I was banned by the fuel rats. So it's a bit of an interesting story. You guys are welcome to go watch it on the channel if you want. It was not my intent to create any drama. I just wanted to make everybody aware of the story because I thought it was a very interesting thing that happened. So with that, that's almost certainly the last I will ever comment on it because I don't mean to make any drama about it. So let's move on. So yeah, Vindicator, I got to say, as I started with, I'm pretty psyched about this. As I said, basically in that video, as I've kind of gotten connected with this community and been able to become more involved in it, it's really been an honor to be a part of it at the level that I am. In that, to be in the community with guys like you, Obsidian, and even Mr. Yamix, who tends to hate the game all the time, right? We really do have, I think, a really special group of people that play this game and that are dedicated into what we all do, the niches that we have in terms of helping people or commenting on the game. I know I watch your commentary videos, or I used to all the time. We'll talk about your potential return and all that kind of stuff here in a minute, but I just wanted to thank you for that, right? Because you really were one of the first, the first people that I saw that were like me, very excited about the game. Obviously love it. We started kind of off the top. Let me start asking some questions about. When did you start playing? Like, how new were you to the game way back then?
Well, I mean, I played Elite Dangerous back in the 80s,
Okay. Okay.
and I sort of, you sort of forget about it over time, and then I never played the ones that were a bit later on, but then one day I was just somebody told me, "Oh, Elite Dangerous has just come out," and I said, "What do you mean? That's what the old game from the 80s?" They said, "No, it's a whole new game." I said, "What? How did I miss this?" And then I actually discovered Elite Dangerous a bit late, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. And late being, I think you said maybe you started playing as early as like, were you involved in the early betas? Did you start during the 1.0 series? Do you remember?
No, I think it came in about 2014, which was after all that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Um,
2014 was still pretty early, as I understand it. I think that was in the beta ish, or certainly the 1.0 series. Like
no, it's
I
definitely
started.
not beta because it was.
Okay,
I
okay.
think it was just come out of beta or something.
Okay, gotcha. Because I started like I think I bought the game in like I think I looked it up once. It was either October or December. I know those are pretty different, but I can't remember. Of 2015 is when I bought it. I remember playing it a little bit at first and like, oh my god, are you kidding me? I don't have time for this, right? Like, there's no way I can learn this game right now. And I tabled it. And then in April of 2016 is when I got the Oculus Rift. And I've told the story a lot. When I got the Rift, I was honestly very disappointed in it. I don't know. Are you a VR player? Have you got any VR experience?
I've got a little bit of experience. My friend's got VR. I haven't got it yet. It's
Okay.
something
Okay.
that's probably on my list.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, I do like it, but it does have its problems.
Yeah, yeah. There's certainly lots. I'm pretty deep into the VR stuff. I've either owned or tested 17 different headsets, so I've kind of been through all of them. So if you ever want any advice, feel free to. I'm happy to chat with you about it. I got the Rift. I was really disappointed with the image quality, the resolution, the screen door effect, just how bad it was. And I literally the first night I got it, posted it on Craigslist to sell because I was a backer, so I got it the first day it released, and they were $600 new at the time, and they were going on Craigslist and eBay for like $1,000. I had somebody offer me 900 for it. And the next that night, as I was getting ready to go to sleep, I thought, I think that dangerous game I have supports VR. What was that game again? Right? And so the next morning, I got my HOTAS out of the closet and installed Elite and fired it up. And within 5 minutes, I remember sitting there thinking, you couldn't pry this out of my fucking dead hands. Right? Like, this
Yeah,
is amazing. I have to learn this game.
the
Okay.
sense of scale you get when you go through a
Oh
station,
man, it's
it's
just
just, it's insane.
absolutely right. And I say, to those that have never played VR, like I'm playing in 2D right now. I don't stream in VR because it's so obnoxious to everybody. But when you play the game in 2D, it's a very pretty. Well, arguably, Star Citizen's pretty damn gorgeous these days, but it's a very pretty space video game, right? I mean, there's some great stuff in it, great scenery and stuff. When you play it in VR, you're flying a fucking spaceship. Like, it
Yeah,
is that big of a
exactly.
difference, right? And
It's a
especially
space simulator.
exactly right. If you're flying with HOTAS controls in VR, like, you're not playing a game, you're sitting in the cockpit of a spaceship. And as you said, the biggest thing about VR, that regardless of which headset and image quality and stuff, is the 3D effect and the scale of everything. The first time in VR you fly into a Coriolis or an Orbis station, right? The first time you drop at a sun, and usually when I'm demoing VR for people, that's exactly what I do. I get them to jump. I do a hyperspace jump, and while they're in the tunnel, when they drop at the star, almost universally everybody gasps that first time,
Yeah.
right? And so, once then it was like, I've got to figure out how this game works. And I started going to YouTube and I found your videos. Obsidian was a lot less tutorial-ish at the time. He had some stuff that was educational, but his stuff has always been a little more community commentary based, right? And I actually very vividly remember the first video of or the earliest video of yours I can remember, and I'm hoping it was you that did this. I'm hoping you remember the video. Was a video. It might have been it might have been not focused specifically on this, but you were talking about engineering plasma accelerators and specifically using focused, right? Because as we know, focus doubles the velocity of the projectile, right? Because I was having a really hard time. I still suck with PAs, and it was like, I remember you advocating, oh, try focus, since it makes it so much easier to land shots, blah blah blah. And you kind of spoiled me, right? Because now that I'm used to focus PAs, I damn near can't hit anything with efficient PAs. And so that's the earliest, pretty much the earliest tutorial I remember in general about Elite. Does that sound like, am I right that would have been something you would have done?
You're half right. I
Okay.
did do a tutorial on class 4 plasma accelerators, and how to use them more effectively, but this
Uh-huh.
was actually before engineering.
Oh, it was. Okay. Okay. All right. Then maybe I swear I remembered
They
something.
probably get one mixed, they're probably blurring together.
Probably, right. Again, since it was so long ago, and hell, I'm old, so don't have the best memory anyway, right? And just quickly, guys in chat, as I'm doing this. If you guys have questions, I don't see any of the moderators around just yet, so I might have a little hard time missing your question. If you've got a question for Vindicator or myself, feel free to toss them out. If I miss you, I don't mean to throw out again if I miss it, and I'll be sure to get the question in. I might skip questions like if Victor's on drugs, and if so, what kind. I probably will not ask those kind of questions. But other than that, if you guys have questions, let me know.
Just hairspray in a bag. That's all.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Great, great. I usually go for the spray paint, right? You know, hairspray, I don't know.
That's it, yeah.
Smells a little funny to me. Let's talk a little bit like about your history with YouTube. What, when did you start YouTube? Like what inspired you? Like, why did you get started? And what's the goal? Like, what do you feel like is the focus of your channel as well?
Okay, well, I actually started watching a lot of Cornelius's videos. He made a lot of ship review videos, and I was really trying to level up at that time from a Viper to an FTL. So I watched a lot of his videos about the FTL, and as I watched other people's videos, I noticed that there was not very much videos about combat or tactics or using thrusters and pips all at the time. And I thought, well, maybe I should do something about that. So that's pretty much how it got all started.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And what do you feel like if you had to describe the focus of your channel, right? What would you say? Like if somebody says, "Hey, what kind of content do you make?"
Oh God, I don't think there's any specific content. Probably informational content, some tutorial content, some of it's silly, some of it's serious. It's whatever I feel like making.
And what's your forgive me for forgetting the name of, you have a series like it's the one where your character is standing there kind of changing his pose as you're talking about like a commentary thing. What do you call that series?
Oh, there's a cockpit rant.
That's it. The cockpit rants. That's it. And those are some of my favorites of yours, to be honest, right? And I've always liked the one of the things that's always impressed me about you, and I've always been somewhat jealous of, is the quality of your content in terms of design. Are you a graphic designer by trade, or is it just something you're really good at?
I'm a motion graphics designer by trade.
That's
video editor.
pretty obvious, right? Doesn't surprise me even a little bit, and that's where like I struggle with that. I'm relatively creative.
Honestly, I'm actually very impressed by a lot of people's ability, to learn to do that, to create videos. I think it's brilliant. I love when people make an effort in their videos.
Completely agree. Yeah, it really is. It really is amazing these days with what you can do with free software. A little bit of time on YouTube, or following tutorials. I mean, that's where I've learned a lot of the little things that I've done with Premiere. And what do you use? Let's talk a little bit just about your creative process. I'm just curious, what do you use? And by the way, guys, we're absolutely going to get to fleet carriers. Don't worry. That's going to be a big topic we're going to get to here pretty shortly. But tell me about your creative process. What do you use to record with? What do you edit in? That kind of stuff.
Okay, well, I usually record in OBS. I'll usually edit video in Adobe Premiere, or sometimes Adobe After Effects, depending on what I'm actually doing.
Yeah, okay. And do you use Audition for your narration?
No, I just do everything in Adobe Premiere.
Okay, you actually record the audio in Premiere as well.
Yeah.
Much. Okay. I haven't even done it that way before. I tend to record in Audition. Like one of the main things that I do in Audition, I'll record it, and then I go back through and edit out all my breaths, right? Everywhere where I'm taking it, where I'm inhaling, right? Yeah. So I go through that, edit it, export them out to waves, and then drop them into Premiere and do it that way.
There's probably about 50 cuts every minute.
Yeah, the way that I do you script your content?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It all depends on what I'm doing.
Sure.
But yeah. I mean, if it's a tutorial video, then yeah, I'll script.
Sure. And I think I've scripted everything I've ever done. As you will learn, and people that watch my live streams know, I can definitely talk, but I've tried to make this the focus of my channel to be as clear, concise, brief, and to the point as possible. So to make sure I do that, I write scripts for everything, go through and edit them down to make them as short as I can. And so I tend to do mine in blocks, like in kind of paragraph form, right? So normally they're between 5 and on the long side, 10 or 11 blocks, and then I record them block at a time, and that's how I drop them into Premiere. And basically what you were getting at a second ago, I'm dangerous enough to know the basics of Premiere, Illustrator, Photoshop, Audition. I haven't done much at all with After Effects yet. In fact, the logo that I have and the intro that I have, I'd give him a shout out. I doubt he's listening. He might later. Metzes, Commander Metzes, good friend of mine who's a graphic artist, was kind enough to design those for me as well. And
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
yeah, oh, he did a phenomenal job, right? Yeah, I gave him a little direction on what I was thinking about, and he nailed it. Both my logo and EDTutorials. Actually, let me segue to that a bit because we haven't talked about that yet. Are you familiar with the site edtutorials.com yet? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have had a quick look at it. I haven't had much time to look at it because
Sure.
I've been away for a year, but yeah,
Sure.
I have looked.
Well, I would love to take this offline after the fact, but if it's something that you're interested in, I can give you more spiel on it later. If it's something you're interested in being a part of, I would absolutely love to have you a part of it. If you don't know the idea behind the site, like when I had the idea originally, I wanted to have a website to index all my content, so it would be a lot easier for folks to find, right? As you know, you build a YouTube channel and you have like all this content kind of buried, and unless somebody literally goes through each one of your either, playlists or just digs through the channel, there's so much content you have that is so hard for people to find. Well, I wanted to put it in a website categorized and, really easy. Oh, look, there's all the credits videos and all the engineering videos and that kind of stuff. But I wanted it to not be just me, right? Like I wanted it to include content from the wider community since we do have such a talented community. And almost all of your content, I mean, it's EDTutorials, so specifically, obviously, your tutorial content would be wonderful to add. So if that's something you're interested in, let's
Oh yeah,
now that I'm putting
absolutely.
you on the spot here live, right?
No. All good, no.
Yeah, and one thing, if everybody doesn't know this, I'll make clear to you, is the site is not monetized. The site will never be not monetized because it's just there's no way to do that in a fair way, right? Like who gets that
Yeah.
monetization? Yeah, and so we figure the way I look at it is it's like it's certainly upped my YouTube revenue, let's put it that way, because it drives more traffic, and so it would potentially drive more traffic to everybody, so that's how we can each monetize it. And we've got a couple guys on there that are relatively small. There's one of our newest
Ooh,
guys,
yeah,
yeah, Flintlock's got under 1,000 guys. You should go check him out on the channel, on the site, and sub. He does engineering, like very technical. Here's what all the blueprints and things do, like deeper dives than I tend to do. Really high quality content. He works in the film industry, and you can tell from the quality of his stuff, right? So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about like your kind of preferred gameplay. Do you do BGS stuff? So what are some of your favorite things to do?
well, don't get me started on the background simulation.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll go to that in a second then. That's too juicy to not talk
or
about.
lack thereof, I should say. But anyway, look, I really dislike playing it. Mostly probably bounty hunting, bit of pirating, but just having some fun with some friends, doing silly things. Guys are jumping, SRV smash up derbies in a crater. Just anything really.
I'm hearing more from what you just said there, maybe like social aspects of it. Do you normally play with friends? How much do you play solo? What's that like?
Well, because I'm at the Australian time zone, it's actually hard to actually meet anybody to play with anybody.
Sure.
But yeah, there's a couple of Aussies that I hang around with that we just go off and do silly things.
Do you have your own like I'd say your own, I don't think of the squadron I'm in as my squadron, and I'm sure you don't either, but are you part of a squadron? And let's jump to BGS. Do you play with a BGS squadron? Do you have a player minor faction you're part of?
Yep, it's a minor faction, but it's not aligned to any powers.
Okay.
It's independent.
And what part of space are you guys in?
Aruru. Sounds a silly name, but yeah.
ARU, how do you spell it?
ARURU.
Pretty easy.
Right next to Soul kind of thing.
Oh yeah, and you guys aren't far from us, 100 light years, Denton Petraeus space.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's not far. And how big are you guys, squadron wise?
Oh, not big. There's only, what, 70 members.
Okay,
But most of them are not active though, especially over the past year, where a lot of people have sort of drifted away from the.
sure. And actually let's segue to that a bit. You know, you posted up a video. I don't remember if it was a few weeks ago or so about you being back, and is that the case? And what do you? And we're about to
Yeah.
segue to fleet carriers, guys. But yeah, do you feel like Are you not only back? Did you? I know you took a break from YouTube with Elite. Did you also take a break from the game?
I took a break from everything. I had a lot of personal things going on
Sure,
last year,
sure.
and I didn't have really time to spend on the computer. But yeah, I'm pretty much back.
Okay, great. And like what brought you back? Was there any specific feature? Was it just you'd been away for a long time and kind of missed it? What, was there any driving force there?
Oh no, I've always wanted to come back. I just really didn't have the time to come back.
Sure.
It was just purely from a timing perspective. But yeah, things have gone a bit crazy with all sorts of other things now. So,
Well, yeah,
but
let's see.
yeah,
Your whole continent was on fire. Now the whole world is infected, right?
that's
So yeah,
that's exactly right.
it's been a little. I saw a comment somewhere that was like, I think 2020 is broken. Like, can we get a refund, right? Or can
Yeah,
we
I want to
return it?
reboot it.
Exactly, right. And so yeah, I did something very similar. I guess I've kind of quote unquote been back for about 3 or 4 months now. I've taken two breaks. One was a little, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. One was about six, where for me, it really, it really was not so much frustration. I mean, some frustration with the game, certainly. I got to admit, mostly frustration toward Frontier, and just kind of really being tired of what feels like, a very squandered opportunity. I mentioned to Vindicator before we started, and I've said this a lot on the channel, that I feel like we love Elite in spite of Frontier instead of because of Frontier, and I think that's always been a real shame. And I just, especially last year with the whole cheating scandal that came out, and knowing that, the cheating had been known about for so long, and Frontier had, from a technical perspective, chosen to do nothing about it. From a policy perspective, they do almost nothing about it, and I just really had enough. And then when I came back, for me, it was, what I love about what I do on YouTube, and I assume this is the same for you, you can let me know, is it's everybody that's watching right now, right? It's the viewers, it's the comments I get, it's the community that's built up around it, and when I remembered to myself and that, that's why I do this, right? It's not for Frontier, obviously. It's not for, anything like that. It's because I genuinely, greatly enjoy interacting with everybody.
I think the biggest problem is with Frontier has been themselves. I think they've really painted themselves into a corner with Elite Dangerous. I don't think they truly knew what they wanted to make it. I think they wanted to make a copy of the game that they made in the 80s, and they thought everyone would be happy with that. But they didn't realize people expect a narrative now. They expect a bit more. And I think they're now scratching their heads thinking, oh, God, now what are we going to do?
Sure.
And they've been trying to throw all these other things at us, engineers, Thargoids, and trying to find, let's throw things at the wall and see what sticks.
Sure.
And yeah, I
What
think that's the problem.
What do you think's the single biggest thing they could? Maybe it's not a single, but what do you think some of, if not the biggest thing, they could do, or that they kind of need to improve upon?
Background simulation being one of them, gameplay stability, uh, uh, winging up with friends, all that problem with that. Um, a better narrative, some form of uh, reason other than grind to play the game.
And
Oh, there's a lot of things. I mean, there's a big list of things I could go through, but
sure,
I think they're the big.
what do you feel like? Let's talk a little bit, because you've kind of groaned a couple of times when I brought up BGS. Give me a little more detail there. What, like, when you complain about BGS, is it mechanics? Is it kind of lack of narrative? What do you mean exactly?
It's the whole thing. The whole thing is broken. Remember with all the what's it, the columning that was going on. Not only that, just I think the reward system is broken. A lot of people just join a faction just to get, oh, I want the prismatic shields. Okay, I'll stick with them for 4 weeks and I'll quit them and go to someone else and get their stuff. There's no sense of, oh, hey, I want to belong to a power. I want to do something with this power. Except for people who maybe role play, which
Right.
is great. If you want to role play it, great, more power to you. But for the people who want something a bit more mechanical, something with a bit more feel to it, I
I
think
was just
it's
about to
just
say, like feeling
lacking.
like you're connected to something and a part of something.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
people just see it as another way to grind for more equipment.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. And I tell you what, while we're chatting, Vindicator, I realize since we're just kind of staring at each other here, let's give the folks something a little more interesting to look at. Guys, we're going to just do a
Sure.
little bit of sightseeing. There's a few beautiful locations in the game that I know that Vindicator's not been to before. So the first one we're going to go to is the system Nervi. I'm posting this in chat. We're in open. If anybody wants to join us, hopefully they are friendly. If anybody wants to join us, you're welcome to. So we're going to start heading that direction. What we're going to see there, I believe, is on Planet 3. I think actually, you know what? Hold on. I think I've got it bookmarked, and it'll bookmark all the way to it. Is what's known as Mount Neverest. Yeah, it's 3A. It is the highest known mountain in the game at 50 kilometers. It is quite literally, the peak of it is above the orbital glide drop point. You used to be able to jump into space, essentially, from the top of it in a SRV. So if you were in an SRV and jumped, you would not come back down. Now, I think they changed that a while back. But let's head there and we can just show some pretty sights while we're chatting. Um, Going back to wrong button. I get what you mean about certainly around power play, right? I think there's very little reason to get invested in power play other than the modules, right? I mean that's what I've done. I will say, guys, if you're not pledged to a power, being blunt, you're just wasting time, right? Pledging, there are next to no, and we are on PC, guys. Yep. There are next to no negatives. There's a few, but they're very, very minor to being pledged to a power. And if you want to unlock those 11 modules, like Vindicator mentioned, prismatic shields, pack out missiles, there's a whole bunch of them. I have a video that covers each one of them. Like, if you're not pledged, get pledged, right? It's as simple as going over to the right panel. You go to Galactic Powers. You pick like the hot blue chick for prismatics, and I'm pledged to somebody else, so it says defect down there at the bottom. But if it says pledge, that means you're not pledged, and you're literally wasting time. It takes 4 weeks to get every one of the modules, so get pledged to one of them at least. Let's talk though. Let's pivot a little bit and talk about BGS, right? Separately from the power play.
Yeah, sorry, I should have been.
No. That's okay.
Specific.
No.
Yeah.
You're all good. You're all good. What do you like about BGS? Where do you have problems with BGS?
The only real problem I really have is power play. I'm not really that worried about the background simulation. I know there's a lot of people have problems with price, with some things going wrong with the markets. But actually,
Sure.
are you talking about something specific?
No, just just BGS in general, like
Yeah,
because
it's more for me. It's the power play issue for me.
yeah,
I
okay,
think.
fair enough. And you know what? I'm glad. I'm kind of. Glad's not the right word, but I agree with you there, right? In that I see very little, I see nothing that makes me buy into power play. What I do enjoy to a degree, and I don't get a lot of time for it, but we have a pretty active BGS group, is background sim. And we say BGS, guys, we mean background simulation. And so that's all, like when you go look at the mission board, and you see all these different mission givers, each one of those is a faction. There's something like 20,000 plus factions in the game, and those factions are what control systems, control things, change the markets and things like that. And you can be a part of one of those and control systems, control your influence. Like if I look just quickly at our squadron and we look at Squadron Allegiance, so these are all the systems that our squadron has expanded into over the last 6 months or so. You don't, I think the bad thing about it is you don't get anything out of it. Like other than that I control this space and our faction is expanding and things like that. But even then, there's nothing. I think you can get some buy-in there, but other than that, it's not like there's any tangible benefit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what's the point? I mean, yes, it's like saying, yes, we own 10 systems. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, we own 10 systems. What do we get out of it?
Yeah,
I mean, we haven't even bothered. We took control of our system and just think it's too much of a headache trying to flip another system. So just be happy with the one we've got, and that's it. And that's it. There's no tangible reward. There's nothing to push you forwards in
yeah.
that regard. That's
You know,
that's my problem.
and I agree. And by the way, we're heading to Planet 3A, so heading that direction. And I agree. You know, I say a lot. Like, I don't think that. I think gameplay for gameplay fun perspective, I have no problem with that, right? Like, combat, as we know, pays like shit compared to basically everything in the game, but it does pay in smiles, right? It does pay in fun. And I can accept some of that for around the BGS, but it's not enough, right? Because there is so much work that gets required in that. And oh my goodness, our BGS leadership spends so much time planning out where our missions are, where we're going to do this, how we're expanding here, what we need to control. And and really, you know, you could argue that engineering is one of the deepest aspects of the game, right? Given all the combinations you can build, all the different ships, all the different, you know, options, BGS is almost as deep. It is incredibly complex. I think in a lot of ways to a fault because it's so hard to get into and everything. And to your point, it doesn't reward like I think it should.
Okay, well, engineers is another kettle of fish. I honestly think engineers ruin PvP. That's
Okay.
just my personal opinion,
Okay.
and won't say much on that. But I, hmm,
No, let's go there.
yeah.
No, 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 because I'll admit I kind of disagree with you, and so you know,
Oh, yeah, fair
well,
enough.
yeah, and but let's discuss because I think I get where you're going, right? In terms of, I think the biggest thing it's done a disservice to PvP is the fact that it has raised the bar so high in terms of if you don't, especially when you're getting into PvP, if you don't have a fully engineered, properly built, maxed out grade 5 ship, you have no chance. Right? Like
Yeah,
you can't even come to the table.
if you're not playing the meta, forget it.
Exactly, right? And so while I definitely dislike that, in fact, guys, just as a quick teaser here, we're working out the details of it. Soon I'm going to be hosting a unengineered vultures only tournament. At least that's what we're thinking. We might do all small class, but if you do all small class, everybody's going to do the vulture anyway. So we're thinking about doing an unengineered vulture tournament. For those that follow weekly, I mentioned this to Vindicator on Monday nights at 8 p.m., Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. UTC, and we've considered setting up a third one for the Australian folks if there's ever enough interest. We do Sidewinder Slaughter, which is all unengineered bone stock Sidewinders. Every time you die, you get to upgrade a module, so it adds a unique kind of strategy element to it, and most importantly, there's no barrier for entry. You could do this with 5 hours of experience in the game, right? There's no cost. The rebuys are so low. You don't have to worry about doing anything ahead of time. And if I'm right, I'm guessing those are your objections around engineering. Is that fair? Or let me not paint the brush for you. What would your objections be?
My only true objections about PvP engineers and PvP is what they do to the weapons. I just think there's too many balancing issues. I think engineers should have been quality of life, things like jump range, even speed. Even just slight increases to shield power, maybe, but not all these different special effects to the weapons, and because a lot of times it's been abused.
Well, okay, so you know what I would say there is, and by the way, oh shit, I thought I pasted that in. Let me get I think we'll be able to see it, but let me grab the coordinates of where we're going really quickly. I think it's I can't tell if this is negative 11 by 106 or if it's 11 by 106. The way my notes are, it's probably 11 by 106. I think we'll see it. It's a gigantic fucking mountain. It just depends on if it's on the dark or light side of the planet. So I'm going to start looping when you see it's. If I remember it, it's fairly yellow on top. So if you see what looks like a big giant fucking mountain, shout out. And so, I agree and disagree to a point. Like, one of the things I like about what engineering did for PvP is the depth and amount of choices and weapons that you have, right? But I definitely agree with you in terms of and I did find it. I'm pretty much right over it. Is
that the one there?
Yeah, it's right in front of me. Is the fact that as you said, the balance is so off, right? Like right now, hull tanks are just not viable. Seeker missiles and specifically pack hounds are so ridiculously overpowered that we ban them, right? You can't use them. Fighters are so bugged right now that you can't use fighters, and so you kind of like all of the PvP tournaments have to be limited, right? We have to ban certain weapons and ban certain things, and hull tanks again are basically out at this point. Which means basically you're running an FDL or a Mamba, and they're both great chips, but I like to use more than just an FDL and a Mamba. And if you follow me down, by the way, if you can,
I'm right behind you.
Okay, perfect. So I think it's a double-edged sword, right? I think that it's good that it gives it gives those of us that are very late game. I mean, I don't think I'm quite at 7,000 hours, but I'm pretty close. And as everybody saw, I basically had to pull up to keep from gliding straight into the top of the mountain.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if you brought an SRV with you. Did you?
I would have, I think.
You did or would have?
Yes, I have.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can find a spot. Let me see if we can land on one. We're in, not big ships, but not the easiest of landing ships. I think I see a little flat spot up here, and maybe we can land on. And this is a place where the view in VR is just spectacular. In fact, let me jump while we're chatting. Let me jump into my external camera and give you guys the perspective on what we're looking at here. Because as you see, it's just crazy from up here. Right. Again, I think this mountain is somewhere in the 50 kilometer from the surface range. It's really, really incredible. So let's see if we can. Yeah, I'm going to try to land up there where you are as well. So again, I certainly agree with you, like you said, in terms of jump range and the, what it's done for the exploration community. I mean, God, remember back when I think the record unengineered, no Guardian FSD booster to Sagittarius A is something in the 8-hour range, where with engineering and the Guardian booster, it's like 2.
Yep, exactly. That's sort of the things I'm from.
Right. And so I think my biggest complaint without engineering with PvP is I think we would also have a case where everyone would run exactly the same build, right? It would all be the meta that would be discovered. Let's just say it's A-rated shields and PAs. I mean, I'm just making that up a little bit, right? I did find a spot. Did you get set down?
No, but
okay,
all
right. Yeah,
close.
see if you can find one. So I do like that it gives us a lot of options, and the meta has grown a bit in that I've seen everything from for wing fight specifically, and I don't know how much wing fighting you've done, but a silent running FDL with 6 heat sinks, all hull, no shields, and 2 or 3 thermal conduit overcharged beam lasers and 2 multi-cannons, right? Like builds crazy like that are working rather well. To mostly it's PAs and rails. I mean, just sadly, that's the standard meta.
Yep.
So yeah, and ultimately my biggest overall complaint with it, and I think this is good from a giving in-game players things to do, but unfortunately, I'll talk about that grind in a second. I think it's good that we can do that investment in our ships and have our ships and do what we want to do with them. But again, since it raises that barrier of entry so incredibly high that you can't get into PvP unless you've got all the engineers unlocked, right? Because if you go up against, and I've got a fair bit of experience in PvP, if I go up against a top tier pilot and I'm not absolutely maxed out every blueprint engineered, I absolutely have no chance. right? And that's with a decent amount of PvP experience, not not the low amount that a beginner would have. Which is why we started Sidewinder Slaughter, to try to give people an outlet for that kind of thing. And
Yeah, but the biggest problem is because what happens is it extends to open, where a lot of people haven't had that chance to get fully engineered. They're new to the game and they're just being absolutely massacred, and then they end up quitting the game because they think they can't compete.
sure, sure, I completely agree, right? So I think that um, my single biggest problem with engineering across the board is not necessarily the engineering quote unquote grind. It's the fact that getting materials is so horrible. Right? Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there's good ways these days in terms of it's never been a better time to find engineering materials, right? I mean, like it's you can get 100 Imperial shielding in 20 minutes, right? You can get 100 nice jump. You can get a nice roll too. You can get 100 of a grade 5 data
Oh
in 15
no.
minutes, things like that. But it's so boring. Like, why can't we have some engaging gameplay to gather materials? Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they said, oh, yeah, you can do the Guardian side. It's going to be engaging. And oh my God, how many times did you have to do
Oh,
it?
okay.
Jeez.
You know what? So the Guardian, the one you scan to get the module blueprints, I have done it 87 times for all my various accounts, for all the videos that I made. Because back when it landed originally, right, it was double the requirements it is now, and in a few cases quadruple. And you know what? The first time it was awesome. The third time, it was still pretty damn cool. The 10th time, it was all right, enough of this. The 80 fucking 7th time, it wasn't fun anymore. And granted, that's
No.
obviously pretty extreme, right? But even most people are going to have to go do it. If you want all the modules and all the basic stuff, you're going to be doing that 10 times. The same thing takes about 5 or 6 minutes each time you do it. You have to log out, log back in, as I'm starting to coin the term frontier flop. You do the frontier flop, you do the whole thing again, the exact same thing you just did before. When if you've unlocked the Guardian Fighters, I assume, or at least been to the Guardian Beacon, the Beacon's awesome. It's really cool, it's really
Yeah,
atmospheric. But
it's
you have to
really
just
awesome.
sit there. Yeah, but you sit there and do the
You have to
same
do
little
it like
thing.
1,000 times?
Exactly,
What?
right? And it's so painful, right? I've
Yeah, I
maintained for the
know.
longest time another big problem with the game is Frontier doesn't play their own game, right? They certainly
No,
don't
no,
live with it like we
absolutely.
do, right?
They
They
play it on the live stream. Oh, look at us, we're playing the game. And
oh, and
then that's it.
it's so painful to watch too,
It's
isn't it?
cringy, isn't it? It's a bit
Oh, now I
cringy.
will say, and we'll see if they take me up on it. The new community manager, Bruce, I reached out and introduced myself to him. Hey, I'd love to get to. My goal is to work with you guys. We have the same goal of promoting the game and helping commanders understand it. I invited him to join me on a live stream, like a Tutorial Tuesday stream or something, where I could help educate him on the game and teach him some things. I even told him, I said, hey, look, I'm happy to not make it an interview. I'm happy to stay away from sensitive subjects, that kind of thing, and just play the game and talk about the mechanics of the game. We'll see if he takes me up on it. Chat, you guys can vote and let me know what you think the odds on that actually happening are. I think they're probably pretty slim, unfortunately. And I think that's another big thing. I don't know about your experience. Actually, I'm very curious to hear your experience in those regards in terms of working with and communicating with Frontier. What has your
Uh,
experience there been?
oh, not good. I've had very little communication with them. I've had indirect communication with them with people who shouldn't contact me, but I don't want to say too much about that. But
That's fair.
yeah, but because in regards to community managers, no, I've emailed them a few times and basically got nothing back.
That sadly, again, I think for me personally, and I know they've got a lot of people to interact with and things like that. I looked recently, my response rate is less than 30%.
Yeah, that'd be about right.
Right? And I constantly say, hey, is there somebody else I should ask this? Is this something I shouldn't ask in the first
Yep,
place? Right? Like,
yep.
like, is there a different way I should be asking? Like Bruce said, hey, don't email me if you don't mind. Here's my Discord. Here's my Twitter. Reach out me in these ways. Okay, hey, you tell me what to do. I'm happy to do that. right? But then, like, for example, recently I met the guy, oh God, I don't want to say his name either because he might not want me to. I met the guy who runs the wiki, the primary moderator right now for the wiki, right? Has never had any interaction in any way with Frontier. None. I mean, we're talking about the
Crazy.
largest site dedicated to the game has never had interaction with Frontier. So I thought, hey, let me try to help there. So I sent an email introducing him to the community management team, right? Never got a reply. Right? Like, hey guys, this is blah, blah, blah. He runs the wiki. I thought it'd be nice to connect you guys because he even said to me, oh, it'd be great to be able to interact with them, to ask them questions about things, to which I started to laugh that he'd actually get a response about, anything about the actual game. And, like, here's the guy running the largest site that promotes your game. They can't even do him the service of a reply. And I just
think they like to talk to YouTubers who give them non-stop praises.
well, let's be clear. My
Or
impression is they
the
like to talk to streamers. Those of
yes,
us
that's a yes,
that
I'll
are
agree with that.
create
Yeah.
yeah, that are creators, right? That like, and being blunt, that annoys the shit out of me because a streamer, and I don't mean to take anything away from streamers, it takes dedication, it takes time, but you're talking about somebody who's just great flyby, who's just playing the game and hitting a button versus us. What is your, like, how many hours of work does it take you to produce a video on general? Like, for me, it's about 2 hours per minute. Like, if I do a 5-minute video, that takes me about 10 hours. Like, if I think of recording, scripting, narrating, editing, the whole thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it's one of my in-depth tutorial videos, yeah, it
Yeah.
can take up to a week and a half.
Yeah, right. And so, we're doing that level of work. And occasionally for me, do you stream?
No, haven't had the internet connection until now to be able
Ah,
to stream.
gotcha,
We
gotcha.
have really bad internet in Australia.
I hear that all the time. I'm actually kind of shocked that we're still staying instance with each other, right? And
Yeah.
so, I enjoy these. I enjoy interacting with everybody, right? But again, this is nothing like the hours of research, of writing scripts, narrating it, figuring it out, getting everything shot, editing together, creating all the I mean, it's dramatically more work, but for whatever reason, it just certainly seems like it's not valued. Right. And again, I don't mean to sound like me. They should be, kissing my ass or anything like that. I get it.
No, I know what you mean.
But it's not just me that gets ignored in this way, right? It's
I mean,
every
what,
creator.
a
Yep.
streamer comes online for an hour or two, acts up in front of the camera, and then that's it. That's
Yeah.
all their work.
And I'm not. And
And
again,
I'm not
guys,
saying,
me either.
yeah,
I do not mean to shit.
them.
Absolutely.
I just, yeah,
Yep.
I
Yep.
just, I always found it funny. But what can you do?
Yep, nothing but respect for the guys that do this, that are dedicated to it. Malik streams every damn day, right? Guys like that. It is a lot of work, right? And you've got to have the personality for it, right? You do have to be the right kind of person, but it is work in a very different kind of way, right? Okay, let's jump to the big topic at hand, right? Let's talk. Yeah, actually, somebody in chat I just happened to see, they love the Care Bears, and yeah, that is for damn sure, right?
What's wrong with Care Bear? They rock.
Well, hey, like, it's funny that we say that. The way that I've always looked at it is, I don't judge the way anybody plays a video game so long as you're not cheating,
Yeah, exactly.
right? If you choose to play X, Y, and Z, great. Long as you're not cheating. I don't care if you're a Care Bear. I don't care if you're a griefer. I don't really care. As long as you're not cheating, hacking, exploiting the game, you do you. I'm not going to judge that, right? Some people like to role play a Care Bear. Some people like to role play a total asshole villain, right? And whoops, that's
Totally.
not what I want to paste in. By the way, let's start heading to Epsilon Indy while we're chatting.
Yep.
So next, guys, we're going to head to not Mount Everest, that's where we're leaving. We're going to head to Midderend Hollow, which I think I'll just show it when we get there. Mango! Haven't seen you in a while, buddy. I don't know if you know has Mango. He always poops on me on stream. And I got to say, Cement pooped on me earlier, Mango. He donates $1 and does the little poop emoji is what I mean, just for those that think I might be into some weird fetish. Although, I don't know that that's weird. I shouldn't judge, right?
Don't kink shame, man. Don't kink shame.
And Cement pooped on me right after that. Well done, guys. Um, why don't we switch gears here a bit? And guys, if I've missed questions, please throw them back in. Forgive me for missing those if I have. But let's jump to
Let,
the topic of.
before we do that,
Yeah,
let me
please.
ask you a question.
Yeah, go right ahead.
How do you feel about with PvP the whole reliance on boosting and fight assist stuff? Just constant boosting, boosting, boost.
Well, I think that okay, so I think they're both. I mean, I think it's obviously a big part of it, right? Specifically, given that boosting gives us maximum turn rate, right? So it's in that regard, it's obviously pretty critical. I don't subscribe to the notion that if you're not flying, 100% flight assist off, you're not, you're not you haven't gotten good or whatever you want to call it, right? The way that I look at it is it very much depends on the ship you're flying, the build you're flying, very specifically your flight controls, meaning if your keyboard and mouse, FA off is a much easier proposition than if your HOTAS controls, or certainly if your Xbox controller, right? Like for me personally, and I'm curious how you fly, I'm a toggler. So if I'm
Oh wait,
anything other than a turn, I'm FA on, especially if I'm running something like Rails, right? I'm
yeah.
FA on the whole time. The only builds that I run FA off the whole time would be a all gimbaled. I run an all gimbaled multi-cannon FDL. If I'm not in rocks, right? If I'm in an asteroid field, I'm FA on absolutely. Or if I'm in a big ship, cutter type 9, I mean cutter type 10, Corvette, that kind of thing, because I want to let the ship drift more than anything. But yeah, I don't so much have a problem with kind of where you were going boost, boost, boost. I think that probably the most critical skill, and I talk about this a lot, that new commanders don't have, that they need to develop to not only get into PvP but high-end combat, is very, very active pip management, right? That
Yep,
like when I'm in a fight, I change my pips every few seconds,
absolutely.
right? And a lot of guys, when they're new, will set, sadly, 204, right? Or 222. Or if you're going to be lazy, 402. I say this also all the time. 4 pips in systems makes your shields 2.6 times stronger than no pips. If you're under fire, especially with a shield tank, you need to have 4 pips in systems. But being able to do what I'm doing on stream right now and switching my pips instantly with a macro, I'm a big macro guy because I fly HOTAS, right? Is really critical to that. So let me switch the tables to you. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, my problem, and I know this is going off in a bit of a weird tangent, is not really any of that. Is what Frontier have done with the boost cycle. They've made it too frequent. I've always believed the boost should have been something that you activate in a straight line and gets you out of trouble. I think people rely way too much on boost in combat instead of using pit management and thrusters. I
Well,
love fights where I can use my thrusters to maneuver around a target rather than getting into the jousting
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will definitely give you that on the jousting. And by the way, we're heading to New Africa, the Earth-like here. It's like I think it's the
yep,
third planet. Yeah. And so I definitely agree. In fact, Mango has Mango's in the channel. And Mango, if you're interested to join us in voice, by all means do, buddy. Mango's one of the higher end PvP pilots in the game. So not that we want to get on a big tangent here, like you said, right?
yeah.
But again, Mango, if you're interested to join us and share your thoughts, I'd love to hear it. I do think it is really important to be active with pips, and I don't like that most one-on-one fights certainly have turned into that joust back and forth. I think where
Oh,
I
I
have a
hate it.
yeah, I think where I have a bigger issue, and actually, I was kind of snarky on your video about talking. He said, yeah, it's 3 a.m. for him, but he might hop in for a second. If you want to, great, buddy, that'd be cool. Is reverse key flying, right? That's
Oh no! Look, yeah,
probably,
a lot of people have misunderstood that
yeah, and I
that
certainly did.
video.
So, yeah, right.
Yeah. It was more to show how broken it is, more than anything else.
Yep. And I was very happy to hear that when you said that, right? Because there are some
Because
groups that sadly do
the
promote reverse key.
reverse is fine. No, reverse key is perfectly fine. you're in space. You should be able to move in any direction possible. But again, it was to show how broken long range weapons are.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
ridiculous.
And to clarify for folks, what we mean by reverse key, if it's not obvious, is you get generally rail guns. You've got a long range rail. You literally fly backwards. You get the other guy to chase you, and because those have a 6 kilometer range, you're just sitting there picking at them from 6 kilometers away. And what becomes silly about it is it's very easy to counter in that you just don't chase them. And so now what you have is a fight where you've run away from me. I'm sitting here and okay, well, you've flown backwards. I'm not going to chase you, so I guess I'll just leave. Right? I mean, it's just it's
Yeah,
such a
exactly.
silly way to fight that it just ruins it. Right? And I see Mango joined us. Thanks for joining us, buddy. I'm curious your thoughts.
Can you repeat the question? I was just
So
getting
yeah,
to
we
my
were
bed.
specifically talking about. I think the main thing that I think I saw, maybe you comment on, the two topics would be kind of in PvP the necessity for boost, and that you kind of turn into a joust match, and the like just talking about reverse key in general.
I'll go on the first one about the boosting and jousting. Th- This has only become a real sort of what's it called area that it happens because of the increased speed due to dirty drives
Yeah.
Sure,
and the
sure.
increased distributor. So let's say you don't boost. Just go with a hypothetical. It's going to take 30 seconds to change your vector. Instead, I can push a key that can go max power to my thrusters for I think 3 seconds or something, and change my vector. So it's just come because of that. It's the only reason why it started happening is because people have better distros, therefore more engine capacitor all
Yep,
the time.
yep.
Therefore, more times you can use it.
Well, if you think about, for
Plus,
example, it's not a big
ISP.
PvP fight, but or ship from so much. But if you think about the Crate Mark II and the Phantom with that huge Class
Oh.
7 distro, with one pip-in engines, you can perma boost, right?
Yeah,
Like with
Yeah,
one,
at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah, but that's twofold issue. Like, yeah, you can perma boost with one pip in the in engines, but the boost is so anemic it takes a couple of boosts to change your vector. Yeah,
Fair enough,
it's not
fair
just
enough. Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah,
boost.
fair enough.
It's like 3 or 4 sometimes.
Sure, sure.
I guess my thing is I miss back a long time ago. I miss the PvP where everybody stuck with their throttle in the blue, and it was about outmaneuvering each other with thrusters and that type of thing. And I guess I miss that more than anything else. And I think that's the only thing where I think engineers have kind of ruined PvP. But again, that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
It's not. It's definitely probably not right. It's just something probably I feel.
Yeah, and Mango, we talked about that. I think maybe I don't know how recently you joined the stream, but we talked a little bit about, did engineering ruin PvP? How big did it hurt it? What was it a credit to it? And I'm curious your thoughts. I maintain that it in general is a good thing for PvP because of the complexity it adds and the huge selection of things that you can do. Other than the fact that there are so many balancing issues, if you negate, we have to rule out seekers, right? Hull tanks are almost useless
No,
at
no,
the
you
moment.
use everything. I don't rule out anything. Use
Okay.
every shit.
Okay.
I don't really care. I think a long time ago I would have said yes, it ruined PvP, but I think it just changed the type of sport it is. Because before you could just buy a ship from a space dock,
Sure.
outfit with gimbal, multi cannons, heat sinks, boom, done. Put HRPs on, boom. It's like a billy cart. You just slap it together, it's fine. But with engineering, it's changed it into more of an F1 sport, where you spend a lot of time getting your shit together.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that you can have that battle. So it's changed the way it's done. There are different drawbacks from people who want to get into it. Let's say you're a new person coming in, and you want to do
Yeah.
PvP.
Basically a new person. You can afford a billy cart. You can't afford a
Yeah.
Formula
Yeah,
One.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
That's
if you wanna-
that's
yeah.
where I think it's a
Yeah,
But,
in that
yeah,
issue,
yeah,
I 100%
yeah.
agree. It screws over new people coming in because they have to devote. I think it's excess of like, I'm gonna go on the low end of 50 hours.
Oh, I was going to say
Should
100
make-
easy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
go on the low end. They have to spend at least 50 hours more to make one PvP viable ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it definitely ruins that aspect.
Well, I've
However, I
said.
think
No,
there's
please.
an easy
Yeah.
fix. I think FDev could do would be like you could rent an engineered ship for a day, and they can say, "Look, here's what you get at the end. Try it out for a day. Boom."
You know,
Problem
one of the
solved.
things that I've said, and I'm going to comment quickly, to just because what we're doing on stream real quick is Vindicator. If you're trying to chase it from behind, which it looks like
I
you're
know,
doing, you cannot
you
catch
gotta-
it, right? Yeah, yeah.
Nah,
If
nah.
you've got to pick it up as
You
it
gotta come at
comes
it from
to
the
you,
front, yeah.
exactly. And once you get an orbit of it from the front, you'll have it. So I'm, as we're chatting, guys, I'm going to try to get an orbit of this thing. Just again, quickly to point out, I said this in chat, but it's a bug that they left in the game because everybody loved it. So this moon is orbiting this Earth like every 90 seconds. And if you think about the reality of that, it's obviously absurd and would rip itself to pieces. I'm glad they left it because it is kind of cool. So back to what we were talking about, you know, I've maintained for a long time, and I don't know if this is a good way to do it or not, but I've always wished there would be a system that negated engineering. So you fly into System X, and all engineering, maybe save for jump drives, all engineering is negated. So now, if you do want to have a fight in that system, you know everybody is unengineered. You know everybody is on the same playing field, right? But if you were just jumping through it to get to another system, fine, right? Your jump drive still works. You're not getting there. I wish there was some system like that. I also said, Mango, I'm thinking about sponsoring an unengineered eagle or vulture tournament here at some point. For that very reason, because, people can't get involved.
I like engineered events, but look, this is just my view on it. People
No,
have
yeah,
different
that's why.
views.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
I really dislike unengineered fights.
It
They're
really
so
is frustrating.
slow.
Well, I know, dude. I'm with you. Once
so
we
slow.
we talked about
It's
maybe
just-
doing
ugh.
like a first four, like with Felicity and Dweller and Elvira and Celine, something like that, right? So you have some basic kind of stuff. That's obviously hard to police, but I'm with you.
Just go if you do it, do no engineering at all.
Exactly.
Like if you're gonna do it, do full word. But
exactly.
from my experience doing unengineered fights, like I didn't do much PvP before engineering. I did it maybe
I didn't
a
either.
dozen.
Yeah.
I did it. Maybe I did about. I want to say a dozen fights where I was in a silent running fast, or what's it called?
Oh, did you hit the
before-
exclusion?
I overshoot.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll wait till you get back to Super Cruise and then try to follow me down if you can, or I can come back over near you. Sorry.
That's right. I'll follow you then.
Okay, perfect. Oop, I'm about to
So
drop.
I don't know. It's worth doing unengineered events, but at the same time, it's kind of you have to just
Problem
I
is
don't know,
that
maybe
nature
some
is
people.
too powerful now for unengineered events. That's the problem.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you do difference between them, it's just night and day.
Yeah,
Like,
agreed.
There's no comparison.
Yeah,
if you
it's
have
just
it
exactly no
engineered ship
comparison.
versus unengineered.
Well, especially
It's like-
something like the Vulture, where it so desperately needs the power plant engineered, right, to
Yeah.
be really effective and stuff, right?
Otherwise
So,
you have to do some really tricky stuff with the life support.
and yeah, guys, sorry, we are in Epsilon Indy. Yes, I see it. I just saw a quick question about that. I just want to make clear for everybody where we are. So, well, okay, cool. I don't want to.
though.
Oh yeah, let's talk Reversey real quick,
Yeah,
and then we'll
yeah.
move on. Yeah.
About Reversky, it only works if you chase after them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And that's why I
It
say
sucks balls,
it's a shame when
but,
people try to fight that way, because you just don't chase them, and now fight's over. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to fly backwards. I'm not going to chase you. So if you guys ever engage somebody and they fly reverse key on you, just don't. Right? I mean, that's why it's such a kind of a shit way to fly.
It's a double-edged sword. You can choose to fight it, and then unless you're in a faster ship, it's really, really, really difficult. But at the same time, it's like, look, I won't fight you because you're just flying away.
Yeah. Right. So
So-
it's very easy to counter. It takes no skill. Right. It's just there's nothing fun about it. Right.
I wouldn't. It's not no skill. It's actually a very good choice to do because you're taking advantage of couple of things. Taking advantage of your distributor. You're taking advantage of your hardpoint placement because you're always firing.
Sure.
That's a big thing. That person chasing you has to either have 4 pips to engines or 2 pips to engines and then rest in systems. So it's actually it's a really smart choice.
Well,
But people
it's
are
a
so
smart
used
choice to
just
win, right? I'll
kind
give
of-
you that. Yeah, okay. And that's not, I guess what I
it's not
really
fun.
mean. Yeah,
That's
it's
the
not
thing.
fun.
It's not fun to fight.
It doesn't build skill, right? I think that's where I take issue with it, right?
No, it does. It does build skill. People don't want to admit this. No, it does.
Okay, fair enough. Fair. And hey, that's
You
why I
don't
wanted you
lose
on.
skill.
You have more
You don't lose
more
skill
knowledge
from
on this than I do.
fighting. It's just how much fun do you want to have?
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's why I don't like using pack hounds, because it makes it no fun for anybody, right? I mean, you're somebody's going to get their weapons shot off, and all right, well, fight over, right? So, all right, well, Mango, thank you very much for joining us, buddy. I'm going to move us on just because I do want to get to. I know that Vindicator's got some limited time, but thanks for joining. It was great to chat. I haven't talked to you in a while. Has Mango, everybody? Yay! And you're welcome to stick around if you want, right?
Yeah,
But let's move on to the big topic of the day: fleet carriers. I'm going to let you start it off, Vindicator. What are your thoughts?
Oh well, I'm looking forward to them, but also have some reservations about them. So, but yeah, I mean, I've heard that they're gonna. You have to be constantly uh, doing something, paying something to them to keep them active, other than the fuel. But I don't know if that's true or not.
It's looking
I think
like
Yamix
yes.
made.
Yep. So what we've seen is PC Gamer in their article said something about the fact that there would be an upkeep, and that if you didn't keep
Yeah.
it up, it would basically get scrapped and taken away from you. Frontier replied back to Yamix to clarify that basically yes, but that it would take a huge amount of neglect, that you'd be able to step away from the game and go on vacation. So I think it's a question, right? For me, if it's, I'm going to make some numbers up here. If it's a million, maybe even 10 million, if it's credit based, credits a week, I don't have a big problem with that, right? The fact that there are 5 billion only, maybe some people think that's a lot. I actually think that's very reasonable when you think about the fact that a fully engineered cutter can hit 1.4, or fully built cutter can hit 1.4 billion if you try. That I don't have a big problem with an upkeep. We just have obviously a lot of questions around what is that going to be.
Also, again, my problem with that is that what about new players? I mean, okay, I agree. It should be around about 5 billion to buy. I think that's a pretty good price. But I mean, if the upkeep cost is going to be that expensive as well, it's just like it's going to exclude a lot of other players from
Well, and okay,
owning one.
so let's go
I
there.
mean, I mean, for me, it's not an issue because well, I've been playing that long, got money
Sure,
coming at the wazoo, but
sure.
a lot of people have.
Well, and it's funny that so bring it up that way, and I get what you're saying. I guess, and God, I don't want this to sound snotty or elitist, but I look at it as end game content, and that I don't know that everybody should have a fleet carrier right out the gate.
I agree. I agree that not everybody should be able to afford one. It should be something that is hard to get. I agree with that. I'm a bit worried that I'm happy with the initial cost. I just depending on what those maintenance costs are, that's my only concern so far. But then again, who knows? They're saying something about being able to collect tariffs on your anything that you sell, so maybe that'll cover the costs. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think I think there's just so many questions right now, and I've always said I hate playing the elite, the frontier speculation game. Right? It tends to
Oh, I know.
always end in disappointment. I worry that there is something that we haven't thought of, that something in fleet carriers, and I use multi-crew as an example all the
Yeah.
time, that when multi-crew came out, of course we assumed you'd be able to multi-crew the SRV. Of course we assumed you'd be able to mix wings and multi-crew. Of course we assumed you'd be able to pilot your friend's ship, right? Well, we didn't get that at release. And of course, we all assumed that it's just a matter of time. They just released it. Those features will come. And here we sit 2.5
Exactly.
years later, and not a single thing has been touched with it. So what
Another
is
feature that has been completely forgotten about.
exactly? Nobody uses multi-crew. I've probably got, I don't know if the game tells you, 10 hours out of 6,500 in multi-crew, right? So I fear that there's something about fleet carriers that we don't know yet, that we're making a basic assumption about, that is not going to work that way. And we're all going to go, what? Are you kidding me? It does
Or
what?
there is another way to look at this, and I have spoken about this to someone else. Um, Maybe there's something we're not fully aware. A lot of things that have been sort of like left at the wayside have been forgotten about, being put on hold, and it just seems like nobody's doing anything about them. What about if Frontier are rebuilding the engine because they realize the engine that they have now is too limited to be able to add new content?
I've
What
heard,
about if all those?
yeah, I've heard
I've
this
heard
speculation before too.
maybe a bit more than speculation, but I'm not too sure. But we'll see.
Yeah, and I think, I've had a couple people, I'll call it speculation since we don't have any facts,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
But
okay, yeah,
yeah.
it's
And
not a
that's what,
fact.
yeah, that's what I mean by that, right? Speculation that they're working on Elite 2, and that is why we haven't gotten what we've gotten. And I think that you could point to that in terms of, the ice planets they showed off, well over a year ago, that
Yeah,
we haven't gotten and is still not on the horizon. And so I wonder, right? I mean, at this point, the engine is at least 6 years old, right? I mean, if the game started in
exactly.
beta in 2014, you got to think they started coding it in 2013. And while it is a pretty game by modern standards, certainly by something like Star Citizen, it isn't, right? What we're doing
Yeah,
right
but
now.
have you flown Star
Well,
Citizen?
that's a
Have
whole nother
you?
topic. I have, right?
And yeah, let's just
Yeah,
say the
let's.
flight model.
Oh, I agree. I'm not a Star Citizen fan either, right? I'm hopeful about it, right? Andrelli, thank you very much for the support, my friend. I really appreciate it. I agree about issues around Star Citizen. Let's not even go there because that we
Yeah,
could we
okay,
could
all
go
right.
for
Let's just
hours, right?
completely
Yeah,
forget that
yeah.
one.
Let's stay with fleet carriers. Let's kind of almost and move back to fleet carriers in what what do you see as what are you excited about with fleet carriers?
I'm hoping it'll create more social activities. All of a sudden your mates can all go with you to a certain place, or you can all load up your ships onto a fleet carrier and you can go off and start doing stuff together. It
Okay.
gives
Yeah.
the ability to be a bit more flexible and carry your fleet around with you instead of paying the extremely ridiculous transportation costs.
And not just the cost of transport, but the time,
The
right?
time, yeah.
Yeah. To me,
Remember when they were just going to make it instantaneous and it was only going to be a couple of thousand credits, and then everyone said, "But that's not real, stupid," and it just wrecked every.
yeah. And, for me, I like the idea kind of where you're going and there is a cooldown. I'll get to that in a second. Being able to, hey guys, let's go down to Pleiades and do some Thargoid combat. Great. Jump my fleet carrier
Yeah,
down there in one jump. All my ships are with me. Great. Hey guys, let's go to, Epsilon Indy and do some exploration and sightseeing. Great. We jump our ship there. And yeah, from what we know, guys, we'll be able to jump them on demand. There will be a cooldown. My gut says that cooldown is going to be in the minutes. My gut says it could be as high as 30, right? That we're not going to just be jump, jump,
oh,
jump. I don't think it'll be that long,
I
but it's
think
not
it'll
going to
be a
be 15
day.
or 30
Yeah, I
seconds.
think that too. I think
I
it's
think
going to
it's
be a
going to be
day.
a day.
I I don't think
I
so.
mean, I hope it's not. I hope it's more like 30 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
But my gut telling me, oh
Well,
no,
and you know what?
Frontier loves
There's
investing.
yeah, that's one of those basic
As
things
they
that
as they do there with their other big ships. It's every day. Oh, well,
and that's
yeah.
fair, right? Well, and here well they did say it's not going to be on some sort of tick. Now, if the
No, well,
cooldown
it
period's
can't be
still
because
going to
it's
be a
player
day,
control.
right? Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
one of my fears is you just made a big assumption that you can jump it with your friends on board.
Yeah, that's true.
right? I mean, there's one of those basic things, and we're going to get a lot of information next to April
I
2nd,
I
right? We will get a
think
lot of answers.
if they made it so that you can't, they're just blowing their own foot off with a shotgun. I
Just
mean,
like
that
they
would be the
did with
most
multi-crew. I'm with you.
stupid thing.
I'm with you. I'm with you,
I mean,
right?
they'd have to change that because I think there'd be an outrage.
Here's my questions. Is it going to have a mission board? And if so, what are those ramifications for BGS?
Well, exactly. That's and maybe what it does, it picks up on the local systems message board,
Sure, but now that
mission
dramatically
board.
changes the fact that a system that right now doesn't have a large pad or a station at all, where I'm trying to do BGS and it's painful, now all of a sudden it's much easier. Is that good or bad? Right?
I
Because
think
that's a
that's good.
dramatic, I do too, right? But that is a dramatic change to
Oh
BGS,
yeah, look, it's going to shift the balance of power for sure, I reckon.
right?
But I think that's a good thing. They should be able to have that flexibility.
Sure. Another big question I have is what is the mechanic going to be around, docking on someone else's fleet carrier? I'm hoping it works much like private groups do, where you have to request access because obviously every fleet carrier in the system is not just going to show up in your nav panel. I mean, there would be 10,000 fleet carriers in Shinrarta, right? So they can't all show up in that way. What is the limit? Can you only
Maybe.
join a few? Do you have to get pre-approved? Can it be like, like private groups where you just automatically, you can set it so that anybody that wants this can dock? Because I like the notion of us being able to populate the galaxy with stations, right?
Yeah. I reckon you probably be able to either set permissions if you own the station. Sorry, the ship. Then you might be able to say, "Oh, this is open to the public. This
Yep.
is only open
Yep.
to friends."
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, something like that. I reckon.
Yep. And somebody just asked, do you understand, right? You'll be able to charge a fee to dock. We don't think that's going to be the case. There is the mention of
Nah, I doubt
tariffs,
that.
right? And we won't be able to modify the market prices, which I think is potentially really interesting, right? And what that means, does that mean we can mark a commodity to be sold for a credit that somebody could buy for a credit and then go sell somebody somewhere else for 100,000 credits? And where does that 99,999 credits come from? And so there's some
Yeah.
potentially interesting stuff there, right? What's it going to be like to gather the fuel to jump? So it seems that they've said you're going to be able to buy that fuel, the tritium. I think that was what it was, right? If you can just buy it straight up, that's interesting because we've never been able to buy an engineering material or a synthesis material or something like that. I guess we buy fuel for our ships now, so maybe that's the way they're looking at it,
That's what I think, and it'll be at a premium.
right?
And
So
I reckon you might be able to even to fuel scoop it, but it'll be at a lesser rate.
maybe.
I'm not too sure.
Are we
These
going to
just
have
things that are rummaging around?
Well, and to be clear for those that don't follow this, we're not going to be able to pilot it in the sense of we pilot our ships now. We're going to say jump to here. Another big question is, can you say jump to the orbit of this body or that body? Or once you get into system, how do you get it to it? I mean, obviously there's a ton of questions. And that's why my biggest advice to people is I try not to get excited about something around Elite until we know exactly how it's going to work. Because I promise you there's going to be something that we're assuming that it's going to do that it's not going to do.
What, you mean I can't go flight assist off in my super station?
Well, somebody commented
That'd
on
be
my
awesome.
video, well, hey, if I can get like 8 mining lasers and 20 active limpets to go deep core mining with it, I was like, no. That is not, this is not something, this is a mobile station, right?
Drive it into a Hasbro site and just blow everything up.
Right. Yeah, and that's not going to be how. Like you're not going to be able to do
It's not.
combat with these things. They're not going to be able to instance with each other. Right. It's not that sort of gameplay. Right. I'm simply looking at it personally right now, from what we know, as a way to move 16 ships around all at once. Right. That to me is.
Yeah.
We know that that's going to be part of it. I'm at least going to be able to do that once a day at a minimum. So I'm excited. I am looking forward to that. Right. I am looking forward to the game getting new content. Right. I do hope it brings a lot of players back, because the fact is, for players that haven't played in the last year, the game really is in the best state it's ever been in terms of grind
Yeah,
for credits, grind for engineering materials, all that kind of stuff. The game is in the best place it's ever been. There's still huge issues, right? But there still are, this game is still in one of the best states it's ever been in, right? And no, there's not going to be a way to attack like other players won't be able to attack your mega ship. There's going to be no, that we understand so far, there's not going to be any gameplay around that at all.
Aw.
Right.
I wonder
So,
what
Damn
people's
it.
up.
You
Which-
set it
which-
out like a fighter.
which I think is good and bad, right? Obviously, you don't want the risk of losing your 5 billion credit ship with your 16 ships on it. And it's going to be a mix of, I remember them saying it was going to be 8 large, 4 medium, 4 small pads, right? So that mix of ships, right? So, potentially that whole kit and caboodle's worth 20 billion credits flying around. So, there's a lot, you wouldn't want that to be destroyable.
No, I think they're going to show up as like point of interest in the map,
That's my guess too.
in
Yep.
the
Yep.
galaxy map.
Yep.
And yeah, I think you will be able to have like, a whole heap of them in one system, but they'll just be point of interest.
Well, I don't see them showing up on the Galaxy on your navigation panel until you've gotten access to it. Whether it's you
Yeah.
could just say, "Hey, give me access to that," and it's auto approved, or like private groups. Because private groups, you can set up a private group so that if somebody requests access, bam, it auto approves them. Or you can set it up where you have to go approve them. Right? I would imagine. I'm making an assumption here. We all know what that does. That it would work that way because, again, otherwise you're telling me you're going to fly into Shinrarta and there's going to literally be 20,000 mega ships. Ships there, or fleet carriers. Well, no, that can't be. Another thing we're making assumption about is that the fleet carrier will remain dockable if I'm not logged into the game. Right? If I'm not logged in, is my fleet carrier still there for other people to land at?
I think it will be.
I
'cause
think so, too.
I think they're making it so that it's like a fixed structure. It just can't be just.
I think so too. And I would think it would have to, because if you're landed on my fleet carrier and I log out a game, obviously the fleet carrier needs to stay instanced for you.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So, but again, these are the assumptions that there's going to be something basic like this. And obviously the big elephant in the room is what's going to break. Right? Afternoon, Untouchable. Thanks for joining, buddy. Like what new damn near game breaking bug? Like right now, I don't know if you know, there's a big bug where if you're in Super Cruise and you throttle down to 0, you can't see anybody that's not your wingmate. You can't see anybody in Super Cruise and they can't see you.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's a new one?
You have to be moving for anybody to see you or you see anybody. That just popped up back in the January update,
Wow.
right? Why? I think the
How did that even
spaghetti
happen?
code, exactly. The code has got to be, and this is where I think your speculation about them working on potentially a whole new engine, right? And potentially that's what they're doing for Space Legs, that they're saying we'll get, the big 2020 update, which my prediction right now, guys, is we do not get that update in 2020. I would bet.
No.
I would bet
I reckon
$50.
Early 2021 now.
Right?
Oh,
I
50
agree.
American dollars?
I agree. If
About
that
100
happens, if we get it within this year, I will donate $100 to. I'll pick which charity it would be, like maybe Able Gamer or something like that. If we get that by the end of this year, I will donate $100 to whatever that is, whatever charity we pick. Right?
And go through stand.
Now, of course, I should probably do that anyway because that would be a good thing to do. But I don't see that happening. I just really, given that we were
Nah,
going to get
not
fleet
now.
carriers at one point, it was going to be December. Then it was going to be like speculation was early as March or April. Now those aren't coming till June. Good thing also, guys, by the way, the beta for them is coming April 7th. So it is very, very close. I mean, we're talking 10 days. And we're going to be checking this out, right? Tuesday, our April 2nd is going to be the live stream demoing all of it. And by the way, I will be streaming that live stream. So if you want to watch it with some commentary from me, if anybody wants to join to chat about it, I'll be doing that. I might see if Yamix wants to kind of do a co-stream, something like that. By the way, why don't we start jumping to Scardy, and we'll make that our final destination if that's cool with you, Vindicator.
Sure.
Can I bring up a point before I go to bed?
Yeah, go right ahead, man.
So this is about the cost of the carriers in general.
Okay.
So look, you know me. I don't like grinding. I just like blowing people up.
Sure.
So I have spent a lot of money on rebuys.
Quickly, what is your rebuy at right now? What do you think your total rebuy is?
I think it's 1.2 billion.
Oh, my friend, let me bring mine up. Where is it? Credits. Where is it? It's on this screen. Credits spent on. Wait, that's repairs. Where is rebuy? Isn't it on this first screen? Insurance claims. 1,649 for a total of 3,145,000,000. Or 1.5 million. 3,000,000,000, 1.5 million. So yeah, right there with you, Chief.
So what I'm getting at is that, look, I only grind money so that I can then rebuy my ship. I don't go excessive. Like, if it's like, I'll grind for like 2 or 3 hours, and that'll do me for 4 months of this.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Yeah, that's
one of
fair
the
enough.
issues. One of the issues with the price tag is that a whole bunch, I want to say more than half of active PvPs cannot buy one, and they play the game a lot, and yet they'd be considered end-game players, and they cannot get one.
Yeah, and I get that, right? And I think my counter kind of point, I won't say argument, my counterpoint would be, I really truly don't have a problem with that level of cost, right? I do feel like that is a fair, again, when you look at the fact that a cutter, again, is as much as 1 bill, 1.2 bill, and Anaconda can be that expensive. How would something this big and massive not be that expensive? Oh, there's another point I want to make about what they might not have in a second. But I think the bigger problem is not that cost. It's that we're forced into specific gameplay to earn those credits. It has to be right now, unless you're insane, through mining, right? Why mining pays 5, 6, 7 times per hour what combat does is absurd. Right? I mean, I can go make 200 million an hour in a Type 9 with next to no risk, or I can go make maybe 25 million an hour in a 50 billion credit rebuy Corvette with a huge amount of risk, and it be $1 billion ship. That's fucked up. And it's always been that way. Right? So that's my bigger issue around the cost, is that you can't choose your own adventure to make credits.
Yeah.
Right? L'Untouchable asked real quickly, why would you buy one? For me right now, the primary point, because I do have a lot of ships, is to just simply be able to move all of my ships all at once. Right? Like, I home system 200 light years away from Shin, to be able to, oh, hey, you guys are PvPing up in Shin. I'll be there in a minute. Bam, all my ships are there, right? I don't have to worry about keeping ships here, keeping ships there. That right now, there's other things I think could be cool. And one of the things we haven't touched on yet is outfitting. What kind of outfitting are these things going to have? Are they going to have any, or just outfitting in terms of us storing modules and stuff? Are we going to be able to buy modules? Are they just going to be E-rated bullshit? Is what modules are they going to have?
That's what I think. You can buy modules to install onto your ship, and it all depends on what you. That's what I've been told, but I don't know how true that is.
Like, one of the things I was hoping or would love is that there's some sort of gameplay around. You buy your fleet carrier and it only has E-rated modules, and you do whatever mission to upgrade that to D-rated and C-rated, and I think you get invested that way, in that you have upgraded, for lack of a better term, engineered your fleet carrier to extend its services. Right? Now, I fear, and we know it probably would be, just additional, mindless grind, like so much else in Elite, right? But that's a big question for me. right? Like, what is the outfitting going to be like? Quickly, just as an aside, guys, the planet we're landing on now, as you see, I am fuel scooping as I'm not even dropped to glide yet. My heat's going to be rocketing up here. This is the hottest, I think it's the hottest known planet that we can land on anyway. I'm already about to pop a heat sink. Vindicator, I'll follow you down this time if you want.
Yeah,
Because I'm behind you.
have to pop a
Try to
heatsink.
land on the light side of it if you can.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah. I'll probably have to send heat sinks when I get down there too. So yeah, I think I'm curious for the stream next week, right? I mean, like, it is nice to have some new gameplay, and I think there's a lot of potential here. I think there's just, I mean, dude, if there's anything that happens with this game, it could be Elite Dangerous, potential squandered.
It's like the history of the game, dude.
Too fast.
Yeah, no, I know it is. You're absolutely right, Mango. It's I talk to so many, especially new players, right? That have all these great ideas. And what if they did this? And what if they did that? And yeah, but every time I hear that, I just think, oh, young one, right? Like, oh, how you just don't understand, that's just not how this works, right? And I wish it did, right? I wish they engaged with us. I wish they listened to us.
I mean, at the same time, sometimes they shouldn't. Like,
Yeah, see.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
It
there's
is a
gotta be a
double-edged sword,
balance.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, with the thing that brings up to me is that, look, they were going to do instantaneous transfer. If they had just done it, people would have been happy. But because they allowed a majority, I'm going to say this, is a majority of players who voted, they wanted delayed transfers.
I'm gonna admit, I voted for. I don't think I actually voted, but that's what I would have voted for. I'll quickly say why is that I think without that, it essentially negates jump drives. And where I really have the issue, it's not so much in the bubble, but it's the notion of we would all have one taxi. That's all we would fly around in. We'd land somewhere, transfer our ships over. So jump range would be meaningless at that point. Being able to, I think it would be broken to be able to instantly transfer as far as Colonia, right? Like,
Here's my counterpoint.
no, please,
If my
please.
ship's transferring, I'd log out of the game.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Say that again.
Like, if my ships are transferring, I just log out.
You're saying
I'll just
now.
play something else for the day. No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, like, if I'm transferring a ship somewhere,
Right?
like, say, 100 light years, it's like 20 minutes, I'll just log out and play something else.
Yeah, you're saying the way it is right
Yeah.
now, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and so let me clarify that the biggest problem I have with ship transfer now is that the times haven't been adjusted based on the fact that jump ranges have improved so dramatically since it was introduced, right? The fact that, like, from our home system to Jameson is about 200-ish light years, and it's a 37-minute transfer time. I can do that in 4 jumps, and it take 5 minutes. Why is it 37 minutes for transfer? So I think if the transfer times were, I think they should still exist, but I think they're dramatically, I don't care about the cost, to be honest, but I think the transfer times are dramatically too long. That's my biggest issue with it. But I do think instant transfer, I don't feel like that would have been the smart decision.
I think you do 1 minute for every 100 light years.
I think that's maybe fair. I might say 1 minute for every 50, right? If you figure an average jump range, either way, dramatically faster than it is now, right? I will absolutely agree with that.
The bloody cost.
Fine.
$50
The cost
I mean,
doesn't
come
bother
on,
me too much, but at the same time, I wouldn't argue that the cost.
10 million to move your Corvette just like a couple of 50, 60 odd light years?
Yeah.
Nah.
I mean, again, I wouldn't argue. I don't care really either. I mean, look, I've got 12.4 billion credits, so credits haven't been an issue for me for a long time. But that's I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't argue against that. Let's put it that way, right? I also now where I would think it's too high. Like, I transferred an Anaconda back from Colonia, 61 hours, and I think I'd have to go back and look. It was almost 400 million.
Yep.
right? And the ship was only worth, barely 300. It was a jump range Conda, right? That was pretty silly expensive. Is that Eagle basically crashed on the surface or landed?
That's a wanted target.
Oh, I wish I had weapons on this.
I do.
Ram it.
Ah,
Ram it. Ram it.
oh,
Ram
not
it.
in this.
Push.
Actually,
Push, push,
what
push.
are my shields in this? Oh, I maybe
Oh,
could
go.
take a
I
ram.
covered.
Oh, all right. Vindicator's got him.
Oh no.
Sorry.
I'm going for the ram. Oh, I get a nice pop in my face. Nice. Nicely done. Hey, we had to have some combat on the stream, right?
Oh.
Just
That's
also
crazy.
quickly, guys, about the planet we're on. Once you break through and drop out a glide, your heat's fine. As you see, I'm not heating now. If I do super cruise out and don't just high wake out, I will heat up again. In fact, I'm going to send a reload for heat sinks since I popped all of them.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah. So, we've covered a bunch of stuff, and I know Vindicator, you wanted to call it around this time. What are you thinking? Another 15 minutes? Do you want to start to wrap
Yeah,
up?
sure. Another 15
Yeah, okay.
minutes.
Guys in chat, I've tried to pay attention to questions and stuff. If there's something that you guys specifically for Vindicator, please jump in with questions. Let's see. Untouchable had a few things about it. Yeah, and that's fair. He's saying, it wouldn't negate jump drives because you still have to jump there. I think what I really mean, Lynn, is that it would, again, we would have one taxi ship. That's all we would ever jump in. And hey, maybe this is not a bad thing, right? Like, I don't feel like, I knew some guys felt really strongly about it. I wasn't of that camp. But I think my issue is, the primary mechanic, or one of the primary mechanics of Elite, is jumping around. And I think that instant transfer would have, to a small degree, negated that and would have changed it. And you know what? Hey, maybe it would have changed it for the better, right? I certainly didn't feel, I cared less from the immersion standpoint and worried more from a mechanics standpoint, right? That was where, if I was voting one way or the other, right? But again, I didn't feel so strong about it as some of the very, very vocal guys, did. If it had happened that way, I mean, shit, in a lot of ways it would be great. And that's where, honestly, and I think in a small way, we're going to find out, because fleet carriers are going to give us very much that kind of ability. So we're going to find out if we see that fleet carriers are great and that it's not hurting anything in any way, then I think those of us that were against instant transfer were wrong. And Lord knows I'm good for admitting when I'm wrong, or try to be anyway. It's an interesting comment. Narkova, if I'm saying that right, said a budget carrier that's smaller than the rest may not be a bad idea, right? Like a mini carrier that stores
I would agree with that.
2 ships,
Yeah.
4 ships. Yeah, I actually, and maybe it's only got even small pads, like an outpost.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that only cost maybe 1 billion credits, and it's an entry level carrier for, non-end game pilots. Yeah, I actually agree. I think that's a great idea. And now see, we're theory crafting and speculating on shit that we will never get. And
Exactly.
the other reason I hate this is you set yourself up for disappointment, because you have all these great ideas, and when we invariably don't get them, we then are disappointed. But it's, in that sense, it's not Frontier's fault that we got disappointed, right? Because they never said we would get this, but we get these great ideas that it could have. It doesn't happen, and we set ourselves up for disappointment, right?
Do you know what it is? It's because, and somebody said also in the chat, we're being a bit negative and everything, but the reason why, and I say this to quite a lot of people, the reason why we are like this is because we do love the game.
Thank you so much for saying that.
We
Absolutely.
see so much potential in this game. I love Elite Dangerous. I mean, I couldn't care about Star Citizen. Whatever happens with that, whatever happens. I love. There's so much potential with Elite Dangerous. So much could be done with it, and it's not because we're bagging on the developers.
That's right. That's right.
Or trying to bag on the game. It's not that. It's that we just want to say, look, guys, we love this game. You just need to do a bit better. There has to be another way.
Yep. I thank you for saying that, because
all these things that we could fix together as a community to make this game better. That's all it is.
Yep, and I appreciate you bringing that up because I'm not surprised we're getting those kind of comments, and I just haven't noticed them. But that is why we're critical of it. If we look, being blunt, if we didn't absolutely fucking love this game, you would not know who the two of us are. You would not be watching the stream. You would not watch our videos because we wouldn't put the time and the effort in to do what we do. Right. So this notion of, I've seen people before, and I think it's an idiotic comment of, well, if you don't like it, just shut up. Or if you don't like it, go play something else. Right. I cannot think of a more idiotic, unintelligent comment, right? We say these things, and as Vindicator just absolutely said, we're critical because we love it, because we want it to be better, right? The only way things get better is through critical, honest, blunt feedback, right? And that, amongst more than anything else, is what my goal is when we have conversations like this. Now, I try personally, and I don't think we're in this territory, to stay out of, Yamix territory, not to pick on Yamix, too bad, right? But to stay out of the just constantly scream about it. Nothing's going to make me happy. I'm just going to bash it for, the sake of bashing it, right? I don't feel that way at all, right? Sometimes I kind of question if Yamix still loves the game or not, right? Now, I know he does.
I think it's more of a hobby for him. I think it's just his way of releasing his frustration.
Well, it's also his shtick.
And I still...
Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what his channel's about.
It's his brand, right? Yeah. It's just, it is, it's his brand. It's what he's built up around the game. I find Yamix very funny. I know some people might not, right? But yeah, guys, that if you feel like we're being negative about it, it's only because of how much we love it, right? I mean, just straight up. And if anybody can't see that, you've got some kind of glasses on, right? You've got something blocking it, right?
Well, I can understand that why people would think, just being negative, and because we do tend to complain a lot, but it's because we just know that this game could be so much better. The flight model in Elite Dangerous is by far one of the best things I've ever experienced within a game, and that in it alone is worth playing.
You know what? It's great that you say that, because absolutely that's what keeps me engaged in Elite and what I love about the game, right? I've kind of jokingly said before that if I could take my crate and drop it into No Man's Sky, I'd be in heaven, because there's a lot of things I love about No Man's Sky, right? But it's the flight model of Elite that, and as you just said, and certainly in my opinion, that makes it what it is, right? If I want to, first and foremost, I want to fly a fucking spaceship. And in Elite, I get to do that, right? There's no other game, that gives me that experience. You get something similar in DCS, maybe to a slight degree, War Thunder, and specifically because of their VR support, right? But this notion that I can sit in the cockpit, I've got all these advanced flight systems, from my power priorities to my power management to my hard points to all the different mechanics that are there, right? That is what makes Elite the special game that it is, right?
Exactly. And also just the weight of everything. I mean, an Anaconda feels like you're flying a big ship. I don't know if you've noticed in I know I shouldn't bring it up, but in Star Citizen, you fly a big ship and it just flips around. There's no weight to everything. Where in Elite Dangerous, all the ships have a specific feel. You know when you're flying an FDL. You know when you're flying a FAS. You know when you're flying, a Mamba or an Anaconda or a Corvette. They're all very distinct. They all have their own flavors, and that's the one thing I love most about this game. And the sound design. I think the sound design is amazing.
The sound design has always been an absolute home run, knock it out of the park highlight, right?
Yeah, it's just incredible. Those moments where, with the Guardian stuff, some of those moments.
It's
you remember the spine tingling.
You remember the original Hyperdictions?
Yes.
And how just incredibly atmospheric they were, how creepy they were, the sound, your ship shuts down, the guy comes up behind you, you can almost feel him breathing down your throat, he comes around you, what the fuck is this thing? And he starts scanning you, and oh man, absolutely
terrifying.
When a capital ship drops in, right? How wonderful that is.
even when the barnacles first appeared, remember that? I don't. Were you
Oh, sure,
playing the
sure.
game when the barnacles first appeared?
Not when they
Yeah,
first
and
appeared,
just
but
the
yeah,
creep.
yeah. Oh, the Barnacle Forest. I
I
assume
remember
you've
when
been in
they.
the Barnacle Forest before,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh,
Just the creepy
wonderful.
sounds emitting
Yeah.
from them. It was awe-inspiring. And my favorite one is the emergency rescue missions, which I thought
Yes, in the
Frontier
burning
did an
stations.
absolutely fantastic job of doing, and I don't know why they stopped. They were going.
I completely agree. I'm so
It was a
disappointed that we
fantastic narrative. It
absolutely.
was engaging.
Yep.
You felt like you
Yep.
were doing something, and I thought, "Oh my god, this is what they're actually going to do. This is brilliant." And then it just stopped. And I'm thinking, "What? Why? That was great." That's that's
Yep.
that's what I love
Yep.
about the game.
Yep. You know, it's funny. I've been wanting those to come back for a while now because I want to make a tutorial on them because when they're around, that is the best way to gain rank, like Federation rank, right? And it's a fun way because, as you said, it's so atmospheric. It's so cool. You know, and things are blowing up around you. It's knocking your ship around. The alarms are going off. The sirens are going off, right? Oh, it's absolutely wonderfully immersive. Have you done the repair scenarios at the at Thargoid damaged megaships? Because those are
No, I
really cool.
haven't.
Oh, you go to a damaged Thargoid megaship, like there's one in Deciat, and you take repair limpets, and a scenario pops up like, hey, one of two things. We either need you to help repair the ship, or we need you to crack open the escape bay or the escape hatches with hatch breakers, so that then NPC rescue ships fly up and suck up all the occupied escape pods, while all of a sudden Thargoids will drop in and start attacking it. Okay. Well,
Oh
when you
man.
repair it, you target a hull breach, you fire a hull repair limpet at it, it docks to a little point about, say, 10 meters in space up above it, and starts spraying this foam down on the hull to put out the fire and seal the breach. And it's phenomenal. It's really simple at the same time, but I think it's fucking great. Right? It's now,
Yeah,
and they're
it's
difficult
amazing.
because as soon as you heal it, a Thargoid will show up and start attacking it again, and then start attacking you. Right?
Yeah, I'm
So,
gonna have to try that.
oh,
I'm
it's
gonna have to
great.
give that a whirl.
It's great. Yeah, if you're, anytime you're up for trying something like that, if you want somebody to come along, please hit me up. Right? Let's not make this the last time we do. Let's actually go do something together one of these days. Right?
Yeah.
So, guys, what haven't we talked about? Right? What big topics do you guys have? Vindicator, what do you feel like that we maybe haven't covered that leading up to this that you thought you might want to talk about?
Oh god, I think I've pretty much covered everything I could think of. They're the most things that are most that are foremost in my mind, I should say. It's
Sure.
getting late in here. I'm getting a bit weird.
Yeah, and by the way,
Yeah,
guys,
they're
just to
the
throw
things
it
that are
out,
probably most foremost.
Vindicator joined us starting at 2 a.m. So what? It's coming on almost 4 a.m. for you right now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wonderful of you to do that, buddy. I really appreciate you doing this on that time schedule. It's so hard to get you Aussies on because of that, right?
Bloody Australia.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to answer this on stream or not. So if I'm putting you on the spot, please don't let me. What part of Australia are you in?
I'm in Melbourne.
Melbourne, okay.
Victoria.
Gotcha. I visited Sydney and Melbourne and Cairns back in 2006, 7, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Amazing country, right? I thought Sydney was one of the cleanest cities I've ever been in, and Melbourne was one of the
Really?
coolest. Oh, well, it might have just been where I was, but I remember I felt like I could drop a slice of pizza on the ground and pick it up and eat it. I didn't see any
Wow.
graffiti
Normally
anywhere.
Sydney's never usually that clean.
Interesting, yeah. And I said this to somebody else recently that actually lives in Sydney, and they were like, "What?" and said the same thing to me, right?
Yeah, Sydney's usually pretty dumpy, but yeah, must have caught it on a good day.
Yeah. I must have, or I think we obviously we stayed in a part of town that was really near the Opera House, so maybe we were in a really a nicer part of town, right? My ex-wife was a lot of things, but one of them was not cheap when it came to travel. So I think we must have stayed somewhere nice, right?
Yeah, some nice places.
So yeah, guys, as we start to kind of wrap up here, what other questions do you guys have? Also, let me paste it in again. If for some incredibly fucked up reason you guys aren't already subbed to Vindicator's channel, I hope you'll go stop by and do exactly that. Oh, Crime and Punishment, I just saw on Twitch. That's a big one. Why don't
Oh
we?
yeah.
You want to hit that for a couple minutes before I've got another question for you, but you want to hit that real quick?
All right. Shoot.
Let's be
That is-
the short version. What is your thoughts?
The current League Crime and Punishment, I'm not up to date with what's all changed. I'm happy they brought in the changes, but I think it's still too easy to get away with murder without much risk. I mean, you can blow up a ship within a couple of seconds and get out of there before even security arrives, which defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah,
If you ask me.
I'm going to agree on the short side that there is not nearly enough punishment for crime. The fact that you get notoriety. Somebody in Twitch commented that you should only get notoriety for player kills. I'm going to disagree with that. I mean, I think that murder is murder, and there needs to be just because of a gameplay.
Notoriety is too easy to get rid of.
Yes,
Really is.
yes,
I mean,
completely agree. Right?
It's pointless. It really
Yep.
is. The way that it is now, it's just pointless. Notoriety really needs to stick to you. Really does. It needs to stick to the pilot a bit more. I reckon, yes, you should have heat on your ship, but you should also gradually have some heat on your pilot as well.
Yep.
And to a point where if you enter a system, you're immediately like a secure, high security system. You should be immediately jumped.
That's exactly what I've said for so long. That if you're a murderer,
shouldn't-
as soon as you fly into a system where you're wanted, system authority should come down on you like a fucking ton of bricks, right? Just like in real life. Oh my
Absolutely.
God, look, there's a fucking murderer over there. Everybody get him, right?
Yeah,
I completely agree.
Like, I mean, if Osama bin Laden walked into England, well, not only if it was a miracle, but I'm pretty sure the police would jump on him pretty quick and not sit around saying, "No, you just stand there and you don't do anything, what do you?"
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to be clear, I've said this at the top of the show a little bit, right? I don't judge the way people play a video game. My biggest advice to dealing with griefers and gankers is don't feed them salt. Don't yell and scream at them. Just go back about your day. If you're new to the game and you don't know how to handle that, I do have a tutorial covering. I think it's called what is it? A beginner's guide to flying in open, something like that, that covers all of the ways to deal with it from a outfitting perspective, from a tactical perspective. It is not that difficult with proper outfitting. My DBX has been grabbed multiple times. It's never been killed. It's got a 70 light year jump range, yet it's got over 650 megajoules of shields. It's never died, right? And it's been grabbed. I get grabbed a lot.
Not only that, we need psychos in the game. We need the griefers. We need people to cause trouble.
I agree.
I mean, they're an important element. In fact, it should be that if a trader goes into low security systems, they should be able to go to stations with low security systems and make more money because it's more risk.
I also
and
think
encouraging more people to go trading in those systems so that pirates have something to attack.
I also think in a big way that there should be a bonus for playing in open. It's plain and simple.
Oh yeah.
If you choose to mine in open, you take off in open. You mine in open, you land in open, you sell in open. You've never touched private or solo, that you should get a 25% bonus. You decided hey, last night, actually early this morning, I haven't gotten time to do this in a long time. A few of us went and PvP pirated. I love PvP piracy, right? Especially for those that understand that it's not griefing. I ask for it. In fact, I'll show you guys on stream. This is the message that I send. This is a robbery. Drop 2 tons of cargo and I will not attack. Run or charge your FSD and I will kill you. If they run or charge, my warning message is, why is my macro not working? There we go. Please stop, Commander. I only want 2 tons of cargo. Don't make me kill you for 2 tons. If they still ignore me and I open fire, then it's opening fire. If you come to a full stop, I will cease fire immediately. Don't make me kill you for 2 tons. And my rules of engagement are, I will only kill if you curse me, if you attack me and won't stop, or you're expert ranked or higher and you just completely ignore me. Well, we pirated a guy in a Type 10 this morning. He stopped, chatted with us, gave us 2 tons of cargo. His wingmate jumped in, attacked us. He started to run, and I said, no. If you're going to attack us, we want 50 tons of cargo. We attacked him. He finally said, hey, okay, stop. We stopped. He gave us 50 tons. And afterwards, I wouldn't say he thanked me, but he commented and said, hey, that was actually really fun. Thanks for not just killing me. Well, of course, that's not the point, right? I can't steal from you if you're dead.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's obvious, but a lot of people will say, well, anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
Right, no, exactly, because people
I got into a lot of trouble last time.
Yep, people don't understand it. And by the way, Billup just said a video on the macros. I've been, for the longest time, I've wanted to do a series on PvP piracy. It's actually coming very, very soon, because right now is one of the best times in the history of the game to PvP pirate, because everybody is out mining for credits, and lots of people are going to be going to sell. Right? And there's usually only 1 or 2 stations that are selling top dollar. Those are great. And that's what we did. Now, the boring thing about PvP piracy is you sit there and stare. In the 1 hour we did it, we had 2 targets. So that means it was 45, 50 minutes of sitting there staring at our scanner. Right? So I
tried making a video of that once, and because of Australian timetable, I could hardly get anyone.
Oh,
but
sure.
What I'd do is I'd pull them out of Super Cruise, and I'd say, you either give me your cargo or sing for your freedom. And
then sure. I'd make them tell me a joke, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just have a bit of fun with it. And actually met some people who are now friends.
Oh, absolutely. It's so great for you to say this. I've made dozens of friends that way.
That's what I love about this game.
Yep. And, somebody in chat just said, you have to admit, that's kind of an amusing tactic, stalling for backup. And in fact, we wondered if that's what he was doing. We even said, okay, is he, because we knew he was winged, obviously, right? We're like, is he waiting? And what was funny is we had, 2 Cobras, a Clipper, and, Cement, what were you in?
I was in a Python.
All of us were heavily engineered. The Mamba drops in, and oh man, he couldn't have been, if at all, engineered, not very much, right? So we didn't kill him, right? But hey, he jumped in to save his buddy. The funny thing was he didn't need to, right? Because we didn't fire. I don't think we fired a shot, did we, Cement? At the Type 9.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, until the Mamba jumped in and attacked us, then it was, okay, wait a minute, right? Now if you're going to attack us, that 2 tons just turned, and we scanned him, and he had a lot. I think he had 150 million, or 150 tons. So, because we role-played.
160.
Because we were just role-playing again. I don't care about the credits. I've no desire to ruin your night. I've no desire to take your credits from you. I want to engage with you. I want to role play with you. I want to see how you react, right? That's what's fun about it, right?
Exactly right.
And people also don't understand the difference between that, a pirate, and somebody who just wants to be an asshole and blow you up and doesn't care. And the big way you can tell is if they shoot you once and send you a message, and they don't keep shooting, they're a pirate. If they don't say a word and they just start blasting the fuck out of you, they're not.
They're
right?
A hobo.
Pretty simple. Exactly. They're just a murder hobo, right? And again, I'm not going to judge the way somebody plays a game. Personally, I don't play that way. I find it kind of douchey, but I'm not going to scream back at them. That's what they want, right? The best thing you can do is either just ignore them or message them and say, hey, what engineering were you using? How did you do that? What weapon was that killed me so quickly? I promise you, 9 times out of 10, you will get a friendly response to that. Right? Yeah. So, guys, what other questions as we wrap up here? Vindicator, this has been awesome, dude. As I said at the top, I almost was a little starstruck setting this up, because,
I think so.
Right. Well, just because, you have been at this for so long, right? You are, a bit of a legend to me. As I said at the beginning, you were one of the very first YouTubers, that I ever watched, that I ever had respect for, that I knew the game. So, yeah, this has been great.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. I hope you'll come back and join us sometime. Specifically, you got to come join us on let's see, 8 o'clock UTC is what time for you?
Oh,
8 p.m. UTC.
yeah. Okay, I will.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to
Okay.
get back to you on
Okay.
that
So yeah, so
because
we do
I-
8 o'clock UTC and we do midnight UTC. Those are the two times on Mondays and Wednesdays. Mondays is midnight UTC. Wednesdays is 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. UTC. For Sidewinder Slaughter, you got to come join us. And by the way, everybody listening, if you've never done it, it gets rave reviews. It really is big fun. We all just go outside the station, blast away at each other. And the way we do it, we do 4 rounds. First round, Sidewinders again, 1 module per death. No seeker missiles, no engineering, no guardian, no power play, no synthesis, right? You know, we rule all that out. Second round, when you die, you get to upgrade 2 modules, right? So by the end of that second round, you've got pretty much a fully A-rated ship, right? Third round, we do Eagles. Again, 2 modules per death. And the fourth round, we do the Viper 3. So that opens up medium hard points, right? And then we've started the last couple weeks. Have you ever heard of Coriolis darts?
I've heard of it.
Okay, so this is Coriolis darts. You get about 5-6 kilometers from the station. We do Vipers fully stripped down so that there's no shields. It's just basically an A-rated thrusters, A-rated distributor, D-rate everything else, strip everything off. So your boost stock is about 450. You go FA off, and you try to boost and make it through the mail slot, flip around, and leave without crashing. And it's not easy, right?
No,
and
I
yeah,
already see it.
oh, it's very, very tricky. Cement's been, I kind of have got it now too. I had, I don't know if you know Crimson Gamer, but I had him on last week, and he does a thing called the Vomit Comet, where he does the same thing in an adder. Right, where he, boosts, goes FA off, flips over and over, side, goes in, comes out, like crazy shit like that. And so he helped me with a bit of the techniques, but it's still pretty damn tough and just good giggle, stupid, blow yourself up fun, right?
Yeah, I think I've done something similar with the races around the stations where they do that.
The buckyball
I
stuff.
did it in an Eagle, the buckyball stuff. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And you boost into the station, flip around, fly this stuff, then boost back out again, try not to hit any.
Yeah, same exact kind of thing, right? So it's all unengineered. At most, you might spend, God, would you spend 100,000 credits in a night playing it? Maybe 200,000 credits. I mean, next to nothing on rebuys. The only way we score it, because there's no way to keep score, is at the end of the round, whoever has the lowest rebuy, quote unquote, wins. Right? Because arguably you upgraded your ship the least, that kind of thing. But I've always said you win if you had fun, and everybody winds up winning, right? We've had guys that have never done combat, never done PvP. We've had a couple, it's funny, we've only had a couple actual PvP guys, like senior PvP guys, show up. I don't know that they like it as much because it is such an even playing field. Right. And, if you're used to fighting in a fully engineered side or, FDL, a bone stock Sidewinder is a whole different ballgame.
It's a bit janky.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, as people know, I say this a lot. Actually, this is maybe a few good. I'll ask a few random questions as we exit out here. Favorite ship in the game? If you had to pick only one actually different questions. If you could only have one ship, regardless of cost, whatever, what is that one ship?
As in to do everything?
I'm just put it this way. If you could only have one ship.
It might be the Crate or the Corvette.
Okay. And I would say that the Crate Mark II, yeah. I mean, it is the best all-rounder, right? Personally, Yeah, personally, I really don't like the big class ships. So absolutely for me, it would not be the Corvette. My main issue with the big class ships is the visibility, is the view, right? I play in VR a lot. Of the big class, by far my favorite, combat-wise, is the Type 10. All around is the Type 9. Now, not for abilities. Obviously, the Corvette stomps it all the way around, right? But I love the view out of it. I love the feeling of it. And I don't love that gigantic nose and low ceiling that you get specifically in VR with the Vet. I hate the Anaconda. Favorite ship in the game?
Oh, God. Oof. I'm gonna say my FD.
Oh,
No,
FDL?
it's cliched. Yeah,
No, hey.
it's cliched, but yeah, it was my first ship where I really fell in love with.
Okay. Okay. And I'll say that I remember back for me personally, when I got started pre-engineering, buying my first FDL, I remember that being such a big deal. And guys, this was when for me to
Yeah.
get my first vulture, which was 20-ish million, was 3 weeks of 4 or 5 hours a day of combat to earn that.
Oh
And so
yeah,
my
at
that
least.
first Vulture, and I still to this day, the Vulture is easily in my top three. Fucking love the Vulture,
Oh,
right?
by far.
Oh
Yeah.
God, such a great ship. And the cockpit in VR is another. It's wonderful. Big, open, giant canopy in front of you, great views. Love the Vulture. For me, favorite single ship by a long margin, the Sidewinder. I fucking love it. Engineered, got to be engineered, right? I love how nimble it is. I love how tiny it is. I love the view out of it. I love the hard point placement. See, especially with enforcer cannons, those two enforcer cannons up front, just daka like crazy. Love the. I don't think it looks good. Let's be clear, right? And now that's the next question. Best looking ship in the game. Everybody else as well in chat. Best looking ship in the game.
I'm gonna have to say the Corvette.
Oh, okay,
There's
okay,
something about it I like.
okay.
Oh God, no! But then again, the crate. There's something about the crate I like. I don't know, man. I've got too many favorites. It's too hard to pick the one.
Yeah, for me, it definitely. And Chris Wu was saying cuppy cake. I'm not sure what that is, Chris Wu. I'm sorry, I've been neglecting Twitch chat a little bit. I just hopped over here. I don't think the vet looks bad, right? Especially for, and I will probably agree, it's the best looking large class. I'm not a big fan of the cutter. I think the proportions are a bit wrong in it. For me,
It's a bit of a phallic
little
symbol on it,
bit,
if you
little
ask
bit.
me.
I just think the proportions at the back are not quite right. I think best look. Oh God, Billup's got the best looking. I don't know if you're kidding, Billup. Type 7 with a body kit. You got to be kidding.
I'm
For
gonna rock
me,
the body kit.
first place by a big margin, Imperial Eagle. Right. I like the fighter style, small class stuff. I think the proportions of the Imperial Eagle are just
I
out of this
don't
world.
like the
Mamba
wingtips
looks
on
good.
it. It looks a bit
Oh,
weird.
I do. And the Eagle, the base Eagle also looks great. But yeah, dude, it works for me. It really works for me.
Yeah, it is a
Um,
fun ship to fly, though. I
it
do
is,
like
oh
it.
man, I've got one, that max speed one that does 930 up meters a
Yeah,
second.
me too.
Oh, it's
I
big,
did a
big fun.
video with it.
Yeah,
Like a
okay.
canyon
Okay.
run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine lives in Seoul, so I can take it over to Ariel, right?
Yep.
Have you ever heard of? There's a planet that's about 700 light years from the bubble. I call it Testicle Moon. That's and it's because it's a small moon covered in 20-kilometer deep ribbon canyons. So it looks like a wrinkly testicle, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about,
I know
next
what
time
you
we
mean.
get okay. It's amazing. Now, my Eagle at that speed has only got about a 35, 40 light year jump range, so it takes a bit to get there. But God, it's a gorgeous, incredible planet. Okay, so I think the Alliance ships also are way up there. Chieftain, Crusader,
The chieftain, yeah.
right?
Yeah, I love the chieftain.
Yeah, I think all three of them look fantastic. It's hard for me to say which. I probably would go Chieftain, but I think all three of them look great. Let's see.
What about least favorite?
I was just about to say that. Let's go least favorite and ugliest. Least favorite. What would you say your least favorite is?
People are going to get angry with me. Python.
Oh, dude, I am right there fucking with you. I would go between the Python or the Anaconda. I'm
It's
right
the
there.
Toyota Corolla of Elite Dangerous. It
Dude.
has no personality.
I knew I liked
It's
you.
bland. I hate it with passion.
You know,
I have brought one 6 times now, trying to give it a second chance, and I hate it. I hate flying it. I hate everything. And I know that's going to make a lot of people
I know it
angry.
is too. I have this
Sorry,
argument all the
but
time.
my personal opinion, that's all.
You know what I don't like about it? It's good at a lot of things. It's not great at anything. Where for example, the Crate Mark II is great at a lot of things
God,
and good at a
great.
few things.
Great is awesome.
Right? And I know there's guys out there, and I've seen guys like fly pythons that fucking rock, and I know you can do
Yeah.
some
Oh,
great
yeah.
builds with it. It's not the ship for me, right? My
I
second
remember
and
when the battery pythons were around, where you could stack the SCBs. Boy, they were tough to kill.
oh yeah, right. Again, you can build a hell of a one. Pilot, what's going on, buddy? And Pilot's here. I don't. Are Pilot, are you a fan of the Python? For me, it's also the Anaconda, right? Again, it arguably is great at a lot of things, but I think it's so fucking ugly. I think the visibility of it is just pathetic.
I like it from an industrial point of view. It reminds me of one of those Chris Foss type of industrial spaceships, which I kind of like. But
I
yeah,
feel
but I
like
understand why a lot of people don't.
it's a shipping container with a body stuck on the top of it.
Yeah.
Right now, we are forgetting, as somebody in comments, let's see, who was it? Let me scroll up and see where it was. Oh, I might have gone off. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't find it, I can't find it. So forgive me for whoever made the comment, because they are so totally right. The most useless ship in the game. Let's go there. Most useless ship in the game. And I'm cheating because I saw the comment, but he's totally right.
God.
Most useless ship in the game.
Dolphin.
Oh, okay. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's not very useful, but that's not the one that I have in mind. And I think you're going to agree with me. And Cement just nailed it. So did somebody else, the Asp Scout.
Oh, yes.
What the fuck does that ship exist for?
Yeah, nah, you're right. 100%. I completely forgot that ship existed. That's how bad I. Yeah,
it's just
Why?
love it.
There's
right?
no need for it. It's useless.
No, hold on. Let's see. Dirty old Freddy. You're saying the Sidewinder. It's yuck. What? Yuck. It's ugly. Yuck. It's least useful because again, I do not think it looks good. I think it's amazing to fly. I love the hardpoint placement. I love the view in it, and there is nothing more fun than making a cutter or an anaconda or a vet have to jump because they can't kill you and you are picking the shit out of them. Like the two enforcer cannons overcharged with incendiary is magical on the fucking Sidewinder, right? So I'll argue that all day long. Ugly? Yeah, I'll give you ugly, right? But I'll defend the Sidewinder all day, right?
The Sidewinder in all the Midnight Black looks pretty good.
That's exactly how I fly mine. It's exactly, dude. I knew I was gonna like you. I knew this was gonna be fun.
It's just freaking weird.
Is there anything we've missed in these categories?
Their sounding ship.
Ooh, that's a good one. Man, I'm having a hard time listening. The one that pops into my head is the Crate Mark II. The boost sound, and to be honest with you, I don't think I like the FDL that much.
I like the FDL from the inside the cockpit, but I love the sound of the Type 10 outside the cockpit.
Oh, okay. I'll have to.
That's yeah. It sounds like this heavy duty airliner sound to it. It
Okay.
sounds awesome, especially from the.
Philip is saying the Phantom sounds awesome. Let me refresh since that's what we're both in. I'm gonna crank the audio up a bit. Let's see what the Phantom sounds like. Not bad.
Not bad.
I think it's a little high pitched where the Mark II has that really deep. It reminds me of the pod race scene in episode 1 where the ships go by. They're like the gong, 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 that rumble sound. That's what the Mark II reminds me of. Are there any other categories that were the Viper 3 sound wise? I just can't remember it. The Viper 3 is a lot of fun to fly. The Eagle, as we said, the Imperial Eagle especially, right? Big fun to fly. Right.
Love the Viper.
Favorite combat ship?
Favorite what, sorry?
Combat.
Ooh, probably FTL. But also like the Chieftain as well. I think that's a great handling ship. Vulture's probably one of the best all-round ones. I think
I'd pick the Vulture if I didn't really like. If I could go up against a similar class ship, right? Like I'm going to go up against a Vulture. I'm going to go up against, like obviously a Vulture. Although I've almost, like, it's a long story, but I've almost killed a vet with I run a 2 fixed rapid fire pulse laser phasing Vulture, and I've almost killed vets with it before. right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're so maneuverable. You just dance around behind them. Love that. Favorite exploration ship?
The Phantom now.
Me too. I have a real special place in my heart for the Asp. It's so
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
ugly. The cockpit is so wonderful in
Cockpit is
VR,
lovely.
though. Oh, it's
Yeah,
great,
the
right?
cockpit is lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the
but yeah,
Phantom
it's
is.
such a, and you can do a lot more with Phantom, I think, than
Yeah,
Asp.
exactly. You can, right? Like the Phantom I'm in right now is my material gathering ship. I can run 2 Class 3 collectors and still have 96 tons of limpets and a fuel scoop and an SRV, right? It's so much and a slightly longer jump range. It's more versatile. Favorite trade ship?
Cutter.
Oh, okay. Type 9 for me, right? I would,
I can just have store so much in a cutter.
yeah, and
I've got
I
nearly
can't argue.
750 tons, I think. I can't
I think
remember.
you can do like 720-ish with a shield. Should always wear fly a shield, ladies and gentlemen. Always fly, especially if you're in open, and always fly in open.
Oh yeah, if
Um,
you're an open, yeah.
if
Watch
you're in
it.
open, yeah, always fly a shield, or just hey, be ready to suck it up. The Type 9 for me. Again, I love its cockpit. I love that there's no rank to unlock it. It feels really industrial. It's really hard to argue with the cutter's
So,
speed. I was going to say the cutter's speed, its defenses. It's hard to argue
I
that.
mean, nothing can touch me in my cutter. As soon as like anybody tries
That's
to,
that's fair. That's fair.
it's, I just boost away.
That's
I
fair.
got no.
That's fair. Right.
Whereas the Type 9,
Hey,
but yeah, it's
in 30 plus gank attempts on my Type 9, it's died exactly once, and that was to a Wing of 4 with a Grom bomb. And you're
yeah.
not going
There
to win
you
them
go.
all, right?
No,
Let's see. What other categories have we not chosen? One last category I think we'll go through: favorite small, medium, and large. Favorite small class, all around it.
a small vulture. Oh, all round.
Yeah, for all things get considered, the whole
No,
ball of
I'd still
wax.
pick the vulture anyway. I just think you can learn so much from it.
It's
Favorite
hard for me between the vulture and the imperial eagle. God, that's so hard. I'd have to go vulture.
Imperial is more fun. Imperial
I,
Eagle is more fun.
but the vulture is
But
is
the
better.
Vulture is just supremely better.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Well,
such a it's so
in my
fantastic.
opinion,
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Medium class.
medium class FTL. I just love that thing.
I got to go crate mark
I
two.
think that's far more emotional attachment to
Yeah,
it
that's fair.
than actual logical attachment. But yeah,
Yeah, that's totally fair. And I think I got to go crate mark two. I've started to come to
yeah.
love
See,
the vulture,
that's
the
the
FTL.
thing. Love the crate.
Yeah, like I tend to not like meta on the nose ships, and so I didn't fly the FDL for the longest time. And recently, as I've done more with it in PvP, I've started to come around and realize it just fucking rocks. It just does, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I just love playing with the weapon loadouts. I just feel it has such a good versatility for weapon loadouts.
sure, sure,
But again,
it
it's just
does.
probably something that's more emotional than anything.
Yeah, and
Because
that's fair.
it took me so long to get it. That's why I think.
That's again, I completely get, and that's where the vulture is that spot in my heart, and that it took me a lot of time. I remember how excited I was when I got it. Right, oh my, I'd only been flying the Sidewinder, the Viper at that point, so now this whole brand new giant cockpit, and wow, right. And then last one, large class.
Corvette.
Yep. Okay. Same reasons.
Yeah, I just think it's a better looking ship. It's far more capable combat wise. The cutter just floats around too much, but it's great for speed. And the Anaconda is just like it does everything good, but doesn't do one thing very well.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
again, some people really do well in combat in the Anaconda.
Oh,
So
I mean, hey, let's
personal
face it. The
preference.
Anaconda can have the highest DPS in the game, right? Because of the three
Yeah, yeah.
larges, right? The one huge. I mean, absolutely, right? There's
But
a lot to be said
DPS
for it.
is but DPS isn't everything.
No,
'Cause
it's
you got
not.
to
I
think about
completely
your
agree. I totally agree.
yeah, you got to think about your power
Maneuverability,
distributor,
you're
weapons
absolutely,
placement.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Yep,
Yeah, it's
yep,
too much. Yeah.
yep. I'm gonna say a very, very, uncommon choice. The Type 9. That's my favorite large class. And
Yeah, it's just funny. I think that's probably an emotional one for you.
Oh, it absolutely is. Absolutely, right? I
Yeah,
spent
yeah.
a lot of time. I also literally farmed 20 billion worth of credits in a Type 9. I've spent
There
so
you
much
go.
time in that cockpit. I love that giant cockpit. Same thing with the Type 10, but I don't know. The Type 10, that ugly ass spoiler, those stupid fucking wings. I mean, I do. There are some things I like about the Type 10, but the Type 9 for me, a very silly. Don't get why, but I really, really like the Type 9. So
Yeah. Well, for me, in the FDL, just in the FDL alone, 1 billion in bounties. That's what I
there's
am
something to
just
be
in the
said for that.
FDL.
Sure, sure.
And 1 billion just from bounty hunting, and that thing is a lot.
Yeah, no, yes, absolutely. That is a lot of combat. That is a lot of combat, right? So, well,
Yes,
listen, buddy, I know I've kept you well over. I had a feeling we'd enjoy
Yes.
this and get into it, right? So, thank you very
Good
much
fun.
for staying up so late for us, man. I definitely hope you'll come back and join sometime. At a minimum, let's get
Definitely.
together and just go have some fun, right? And actually get to
Cool.
play the game instead of talking about it. I do
Sure.
appreciate that you brought up the fact that we might have sat here and bitched a lot, or it could have been thought that way. That was not either of our intents, guys. Like, we discuss these things because, as Vindicator so eloquently put it, we love the game,
Yeah,
right?
that's what it all. It's just as simple as that.
Yep, yep. So with that, guys, we usually, as the regulars know, we usually end with some CQC. I'm personally going to forgo that today, as you guys can hear in my voice. I'm totally spent. I've been up for something like 20 hours straight. It's 4:20 in the morning for Vindicator. If anybody in Discord, we've got a small crowd. If anybody wants to come join and do some CQC, great. Come jump in the Discord. Here, I'll paste in the the invite real quick. You're always welcome to join. Otherwise, Vindicator, this has been a real special one for me. Absolutely a blast. They say don't beat your heroes because you'll be disappointed. This was not disappointing in any way. So
Glad I could be here.
absolutely,
Thanks for
absolutely.
having me.
And guys, just quick note: next week, Sidewinder Slaughter, both Monday and Wednesday. Not sure what. Oh, I know. Actually, I haven't decided what we're going to do. But Tuesday night, we're going to do because I missed it. It was a couple weeks ago. My 2-year anniversary. I hit 2 years on YouTube like 2 weeks ago, something like that. So
And you've done pretty damn well. You have
it's been
40,000 subscribers.
it's
Yeah,
been
you're doing really well.
yeah, it's been. I never ever imagined. As you know, those first 1,000 are so brutal, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
So never did I imagine I'd be sitting here at that much, right? And also, you say to people when you get a new Patreon or something like that, how much it means, how much the comments and the support means, and it might sound cheesy as fuck, but it really is so completely true, right?
It means a hell of a lot.
Yeah, it's why we do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know about you, but I'm certainly not building a retirement plan based on this, right? So it is for you guys, and the feedback we get from you guys, even when I post something about the fuel rats and, people think I was a douche, maybe, hey, even that feedback can be helpful at times, right? So with that, again, thanks for joining Vindicator. Next week, Tuesday night, again, I don't know what we'll do. We might do a Come Kill X stream, something special. I picked Frontier to hopefully get a few things that we can do as giveaways. And then next Friday, actually, I got to clarify it with him, but Drew Wager is going to join me to talk about the lore of Elite. Drew, or of Drew at least, right, Vindicator?
Oh yeah, totally.
Writes the novels.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So Vindicator, Drew's going to come join. Vindicator, anytime you want to drop in on a stream, anytime you want to drop in, come back by again. We'll have some fun. So thanks again. Thanks again, everybody else. And yeah, this has been great, buddy.
Thanks, mate.
All right. Catch everybody next week, guys. Thanks much. And, oh, yeah, fly dangerously.